So we have what looks like a Kanna, I think. I don't see these very often. I think it's a Kanna, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Pretty rare class, very underplayed. I'm always wanted to do a progression session with a Kanna, because for the few people who play it out there.
Yeah, I watched you do the other guy like a few days ago, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was kidding. There's a lot of Kannas. There's probably like 50 Kannas on my channel by now. Kannas and Adele together is like 30% or 40% of my session. Most likely. So, tell us a little about your Kanna. You're around level 230 something?
I just hit 233 yesterday. I've been out of it for a couple of years. What else can I say? A couple of days ago, I heard the Pig Beach theme song and I almost cried like a little girl. So I decided to come back.
That's some nostalgia right there.
Definitely. So looking for some long-term staying this time.
Yeah,
but
okay.
It's quite overwhelming, as a lot of new stuff and stuff I didn't know about, or stuff I forgot perhaps.
Yeah, probably a combination of a little bit of everything. So you're planning on staying for like long term? Are we liking the class right now? Do you think you're going to main this one, or possibly use it as a stepping stone, or?
I think I'm going to main this one. It's I think the only one I've actually played. The rest I just used to Legion. So they're like level 140, 160 maybe.
And there wasn't anything there that stood out that was enjoyable for you? Or like particularly more enjoyable? Not really, okay. That is to say, though, a lot of classes can be quite tedious up to 200, but then once you have the fifth job skills, a class can change radically. But yeah, just getting everything to 200 is quite a tall order.
It is, man.
So it's not really realistic for you to be able to do. But so you enjoy being, I guess, like majority supportive right now?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, cool. And what kind of content do you do on a daily and weekly basis?
Well, I just got back into the game a couple of days ago, but as far as I can recall from memory, I just used to do all my dailies, grind some levels, do bosses whenever I could. But I didn't have many friends. I didn't have a proper guild, so to say, so most of the things I did was all solo.
Also, yeah. As a support class, that's unfortunate, I guess.
Very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, it makes it harder to like get lift off if your class is revolving around supporting other people and you don't really get other people to support. Then it can hinder your growth in that sense, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess we can look at dailies first. Do you even know what Maple Tour is?
I found out yesterday.
Okay.
You basically just do 2 free entries a day, right, for free mesos?
Yeah, you can do 2 for free, and then if you want to do extra, you can for Maple points, but most people just do the 2, I guess. It can get pretty pricey pretty quickly if you do all the entries. Still remember having like 1.2 mil Maple points, and now we're down to 800k. Goes pretty fast.
Oh, Jesus, man.
It's already a third gone. Just from Maple Tour every day. But you know, it does translate to a lot of money, so I guess it's worth. Okay, so this is the dailies grid that I have. It's not like set in stone, like you have to do all these things. But the goal for this is to make sure that you don't miss out on any content that can be important for your progression in the game.
Yep.
And as long as depending on your... And you can also kind of use the level indicator as kind of a backup control to see if your character is like as strong as you roughly want it to be able to do the content around your level or not. And if you notice like big discrepancies of like, oh, I can't do this at all, but I can do other things in the same category, then it's mostly just a mechanics thing that you can work on. But if you can't do anything in the same category, then it might be either it's like a hardware issue, or it's just the fact that that your character is missing maybe something functional, like a utility link skill or something like that, or it's just missing a lot of damage, basically.
Yeah.
So your character is a 233, right? So we're looking at those blue numbers. So do you do most of these blue things, or some of them, or?
I would say most of them, except for the bosses.
Mostly the weekly ones, or?
I mean the daily content. Hold up, I'm pulling up the same sheet as you are. Let's see. Yeah, most of it. At least I'm trying to do most of it.
Yeah, yeah. Like, some days you might not have the time, of course.
Yeah, but when was this? I think 2 or 3 days ago, I attempted all of the harder bosses, especially for the Neo event, right?
Yeah.
But I found myself in some cases not doing enough damage, and in some other cases just being a potato, and my mechanics just suck since I quit for a while. So I don't think I can do all of them.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, the list goes down very far, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And some of those things will almost necessarily be in a party. Like if you want to do Lucid or Easy Lucid, that's going to have to be in a party. And then normal Damien or Lotus is doable at your level if you're pretty funded and you have good control and good legion and all of that. If you don't have any of those things, then that's a big that's a lot of stuff that's gone, and then therefore it probably won't work out. But I imagine that there's a bunch of people right now looking for parties for all of this because of the Neo cores. So that should be like a good time to come back where you can kind of have a way easier time, hopefully, finding boss parties to get back into the swing of things. And then, you know, once everything is back in the regular order and you feel like you have better character control and everything, then you can start doing more things solo. And then, you know, you have the extra flexibility of doing it when you can, when you want to, rather than having to wait until everyone shows up kind of thing.
True. Where do you actually find people to boss with? Do you just randomly scout chat, or?
Yeah, that's the thing. So I like to have my chat be available for that. If I see people who are trying to set up parties, I usually always shout it out so that even more people can hear it. People who might be lurking or not looking at the chat might hear it. The other thing is my Discord. You can give yourself certain roles there, and everyone who gives themselves the certain roles for a certain boss is going to be able to find other people who also signed up to try to find a boss party with that specific boss. I don't have one specifically for every boss, but like for groups of bosses that require roughly the same level of being funded, I guess, or like the same difficulty level. So you can give yourself... You've joined the Discord, right?
Yeah, I have.
And have you seen the boss roles already?
Yep, I assigned myself to a few of them.
So that's another source. Sometimes people do smegaphones when they're like trying to do runs and they are lacking 1 or 2 members. You can always try those. Typically, people have pretty high standards for those. They almost want people who can solo bosses just to join the party so that they can guarantee fast clears and stuff. The other thing you can do is, of course, through guild and alliance, like organized groups. And then the last thing is there's another Discord, Reboot Central Discord, where a lot of people who play in Reboot are on, and that can... sometimes people find people there. There seems to be, you know, higher levels of disorganization. The more people you get, the harder it is to properly organize, of course. Some people, some people have good experience there. Some people have bad experiences there. Kind of just, depends on who you end up getting.
True. Hit or miss, right? On a side note, actually, I've joined your guild as well, and I'm in your Discord, but I haven't been assigned as a guild member, I think.
Oh, okay. Let me check. See if I can check that real quick. Someone forgetty? Change identity, new. Wait, what? No, don't do that. Where is that again? Oh, here. No. Here. Click. Server. It's quite a lot of work to get to the list of everyone who's in there.
It's a big Discord, man.
I mean, just in general, you think that you just have a search option in the Discord to be like, hey, who's where? But, EU guild. Hang on. Oh, there's EU stuff as well. Guild member. There you go. Bam. All pink. Yeah, no, you can join us for Guild PQ on Sundays if you are available. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So guild-wise, there's Flag Race and Guild PQ. Based on those rankings, we get our skill points, and then you can use those guild skills to get a lot of damage, specifically for these bosses as well. So if you're practicing these bosses and you feel like you're getting closer, but you still need an extra bump of damage, using your guild skills and then, you know, making sure you have buff freezers on will definitely give you a huge boost towards being able to kill these bosses where otherwise you might be falling short. They can really carry you.
Okay, sounds good.
There's yeah, like the strongest guild skill just gives you half an hour of 30% critical damage with an hour cooldown, so it's pretty busted.
That does sound quite busted.
Yep. And then usually we have, I think we have 40 skill points a month usually. I think we have that this month as well. Yeah, so you can get 30% critical damage, 30% damage, and then 20% boss damage extra. So
that sounds like might be my saving grace.
Yeah, that might help you for now. But definitely, like with the harder bosses, people will time their bosses and make sure that you can that they can alternate or always have the skills on when you're bossing or when you're mobbing. Like going to a higher level area, and you do need that extra damage. Sometimes people alternate between the strongest skills to increase their baseline of how strong they are and how much damage they can do. There was a welcome channel that is hidden that has everyone's name that you can search even if they haven't typed anything yet. Oh, okay, maybe I'll look at that. Yeah, so why do I have things grayed out? Those are things with... I forgot what that was. But yeah, let's dwell on this too much. Are there any dailies here where you think that those are absolutely impossible right now that you might need some help on, or?
Dailies, you mean?
Well, dailies or weeklies. Like, what's the toughest thing on the list that you were able to do? Like, what's the first thing that you weren't able to do? I guess.
First thing I wasn't able to do was the Chaos Root Abyss. I did the first boss, the Queen one.
Mm-hmm.
I just instantly died on the other three. Hard Magnus I died on. I didn't even try Chaos Papulatus.
Okay. Yeah, that's got to be practice, like getting back in the swing of things. I do have videos on my YouTube channel of these bosses, so you can kind of see what they do and everything. I'm currently doing Project CRA. You might have seen those videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So those are longer boss fights that can help you like see which skills pop up and what they do. It's still a good experience to just go in yourself and die to them, and but try to realize like what is killing me, what do I need to do differently to survive, at which instances, what are the signals, what are the call outs, what do I need to respond to, and then those runs will just get slowly better and better and better. The main thing, I guess, the main mechanic, and that's gonna come back for all of the boss fights and stuff, is for Kanna how to charge your domain properly. Have you found that, or like how do you do that? How like charge your domain? How do you burst basically?
Don't really have a solid strat for that. I just use it when it's up, and then I use Vanquishers.
Mm-hmm. So typically what people will do is they'll use the I don't know her name. Oh, Yuki Musume Shokan.
Yep.
Blue lady. Pop that first, then pop down your domain, and then use Vanquisher Charm to charge it. And try to stay on top of the target, because you'll probably trigger a Liberated Spirit Circle, and then that one can travel through the boss. Although I don't see that you have equipped that one.
Oh, I just got it yesterday.
Okay, yeah. That's a lot of damage. And then once it's completely charged... well, if it's on a boss, probably you bind it before you start Vanquisher Charm, right? So you can hit the entire one. And make sure that the Spirit Circle hits the entire thing. And then, then you basically just, what is it, Shikigami hunting? Yeah. And make sure that the boss is always punching. It's a decent amount of damage as well. The last fifth job is a bit, I don't know if you've gotten that one. Charge domain, then bind. If you're soloing though, Vanquisher Charm is a lot of your... well, I guess it depends on the boost node level of Vanquisher's Charm. But if it's... that's like your biggest part of your bursts. So you want to make sure that that hits. If in a party, 100%, yeah, for sure. And the other thing is also like your domain will last longer if you level it up. So that's going to be like a big priority for both mobbing and bossing, right? If you can have more uptime of domain just killing the entire map, plus more damage in your burst and a bigger area that you can burst in. There's some drawbacks, like Clown is a lot harder. If you don't kill him pre-burst, what's going to happen is he's going to split and then all of your attacks hit a whole bunch of targets and one of them is going to mass heal. That probably happened to you, I'm guessing.
The Clown is giving me a stroke, man. I had him down to a lot, and then what was that? I think Yuki like started proccing his heals.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, sometimes some skills you just have to right-click them on the top right to get rid of them before they do more damage than more harm than good. But yeah, for a party you would charge a domain first, and then you basically would call out that it's charged and then throw the bind up, and then everyone will start like bursting like crazy inside the domain with a boss that can't do anything.
Alright, I'll take note.
So, I mean, yeah, I can give some specific advice, I guess, for like CRA and stuff to get you started with that. With Clown, it's basically just save up all your big burst skills until, like, there's a part where the Clown HP is where you know he's gonna split. He always splits at a certain percentage. It's a little bit hard to tell where that is exactly, but on the top of the map, there's a part where I think I have a video on that. CPR. There's like a part where there's like a little bulb that shows how much HP is left. Oh yeah, I drew this in paint and everything. Look at that. Oh, this is like when Pierre splits, how you can do it. Yeah, here. So this is like how many lives you have left up top, right? It's like this is exactly what the UI looks like. You can recognize it. So this one has like the timer, and then this one has the amount of lives. Basically, where those things touch, just to the left of that is where he will split.
All right.
So
I like your drawing, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I put a lot of hard work into this. But yeah, so essentially, if you have like it's a little bit to the left, but you know, just to play safe, usually you wait around until it's like right down the middle, like just above there, and then you make sure that all of your skills are up and everything, and then you wait until you have the different color than Pierre. Ideally, you have a red hat and he's blue. That means that he will be, you know, twirling around and be targetable the whole time as well. If you have a blue hat and he's red, you can also do that, but he will most likely teleport around, and then he's not targetable as much. But yeah, it's going to be all about just popping domain and trying to get it, trying to get that buffed instantly. Although the blue one does seal you if it twirls into you, so maybe it's actually better to get the red one for you. So red Pierre, you have a blue hat. You see it, and he's at that point. You see it, pop domain, and start charging Vanquisher Charm. Of course, move out of the way, right? Because if he's red and he disappears, he's going to teleport on you and smack you, and you don't want that to happen. And then once it's, I don't know, once it's like pretty close to being charged, and the big blue ball is going to like floating through him, hit him up with the bind, and do as much damage as possible. The problem is if you don't like kill him in that bind, you probably will, especially with the guild skills and everything, because of your level, and I assume that your gear is like not terrible. Well, I mean, we'll double check everything later, of course, but yeah, damage wise that should be very doable. If for whatever reason does not die in the time that in between the stages and it splits, you're going to be in a big trouble, because like it's gonna spawn in domain, and then one of them is just gonna hit full HP, and then the other one is gonna probably die, and then you basically have to start over. But when you have to start over, it doesn't get bound again, or it doesn't stay in the bound phase for the regular duration. If it passes split HP, it'll automatically split the instant that it passes split HP, even if it's bound. And then you have to, yeah, then you're gonna have to like suicide your character so you don't get a hat, Kanna's in a good position there because you have the spirit protection. What is it? Nine spirit? No, Foxfire. That one. You know those little Those can counter the hat even if you like if it switches stages and you'll see like resist. And then that means you can still hit both of the phases. So in the beginning, that's fine if you have to chip it down if he's split. But if he's not split, you don't want to resist the hats because if you have the opposite hat of the Pierre, you deal double damage. So you want to be able to deal double damage in your burst to be able to guarantee killing it. But if he splits, then it would be better to not get a hat at all because then you can just keep hitting both until they're very low. And the trick with Pierre is that you have to kill both of them very close together. There could be at most like 5 seconds in between the kills. It has to be pretty much simultaneous. And for that, you have to look at the HP bars and make sure that you see which Pierre is mentioned first, and that you only hit that one, and then only if you have the opposite hat, otherwise all the healing and everything.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so you might have to turn some skills off. If he does split, if you can't kill him pre-split, you might have to turn some skills off. Like, your Suzume is always going to hit, but was it the doppelganger and the shell thing? Like, because those are just going to automatically trigger and just keep. Like, you'll do 5% damage to one, and then you'll just heal the other one for 5%, and you'll just be infinitely looping with the same HP on both of them, and just, before you know it, you'll be 10 minutes further, and you won't really have gotten any further depleting their HP bars. So, it might be a good idea to just see if you can, like, burst pre-split and see if that works. If it doesn't work, just leave, try some other bosses, and then come back 30 minutes later and try to do it again. Rather than, or you know, you can torture yourself and stay in there and hop around, but, you know, it depends on how much time you have available, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that last option a hard pass, Poach.
Yeah, that's not for you. For Von Bon, the main thing is in the beginning that you don't want to hit him or you don't want to have him floating around the white clocks that spawn, because that takes time away from your run, and that'll make the run a lot shorter. The other thing is like the same again, like you just want to make sure that you put your, you know, your Ona and the ice lady, and then your domain, and pop all of that in the beginning and just get as much damage in the initial burst as possible. And if he's past, I would say like lower than 70% HP, you'll do this skill where he floats up in the air and then hits you if you're standing on the ground. So just jumping can be enough, but it might be a little bit tricky. You might not have enough airtime. But the main thing is that you'll have to get a feel for his rhythm of the attacks. And he never does the same skill like twice in a row, the jump attack. He never does the teleporting twice in a row. He almost never like smacks you twice in a row, only if you're standing really close to him. The teleporting is never twice in a row. And then the launching of the projectile, that can happen sometimes in a row, but that's also pretty rare. So usually he just keeps rotating between those skills, and then once you get more accustomed to that, you basically already know which skill he's going to use next, and you know if you have to be careful and stay mobile and stay out of attack so you can jump if necessary, or if he just did it, then for a while you could just keep attacking and it's no problem whatsoever. So the main thing is going to be that jump attack, dodging that. If you need extra airtime, you can use Vanquisher's Charm in the air. Exorcist Charm in the air, so that you can, float a little bit longer. And just the other thing is that you want to make sure that whenever he does the teleport thing and he creates an after image for you that he's going to teleport you to, as soon as he does that, try to teleport on the other side of him, because if he attacks you on that side, by the time the attack tries to hit you, you will get teleported out of it and actually be safe. Also with the projectile, you can duck below it. So if there is ever a situation where he's like shooting a projectile in a certain direction, and your image that he's going to teleport you to is in the path, just hold the down arrow, and even if you get teleported into it, you will duck underneath. Now the only problem is if those two things happen at the same time, and he jumps at the same time, and that all of that hits like at the exact same moment, then either you have to iframe or just just embrace the sweet release of death, I guess. That typically happens if you're too far away from the boss, because there's like a travel time for the projectile, and if during the travel time for the projectile he has enough time to do the next skill, then it can happen. If he's still pretty close to the boss, even if he does a projectile, the projectile will have already passed, and you can already respond to the next attack. So ranged classes have that problem a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for the last phase, he just kind of like flops around, just keep your distance, try not to get hit by any of those clocks that fall from the ceiling. Yeah, it's all about just waiting for your big bind to come up. Don't use the small bind ever. Just always wait for the big bind and then try to combine good attacks. Look at your other cooldowns and see if it's worth maybe waiting 20 extra seconds so you can bind with a big skill, or if it's better to just use it directly if you have, you know, most of your skills up. It's got to be a little bit up to you, especially if you're doing a lot of bosses in succession. Maybe, you know, if you're pretty close, you just use like a smaller burst, as we call it. Like you don't use all of your skills. And then you can use the bigger skill immediately the next time. You know, maybe use a short bind at the end of the boss fight to confirm the last little bit of damage, kill the boss, and then you can go big bind and domain, for example, for the next one. One extra thing, I don't know if you did that with Queen, is that since Queen, every time she changes, she technically becomes a new boss. You can use both your binds quite a bit there. If you bind one form and she changes, you can just use your other bind on the next one. Every single transformation resets the bind timer.
Oh, I didn't know that. It was just very, well, mechanically not demanding, so it was easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for her, and you'll get kind of the same thing for Vellum as well, is that blue spirit circle that does a lot of your damage hits her a lot of times because she's so tall. So you get a lot of extra damage from that. Von Bon and specifically Clown or Pierre are smaller bosses, so it's not as extreme for those. But Vellum is even taller, so that Spirit Circle Ball is going to do a lot of damage on that. But yeah, it's all about, for that one, so I guess we'll get to Vellum now. For Vellum, the main thing is you have to learn to dodge the rocks. That's the main thing. The analogy I always use for the rocks is like the spokes in a bicycle wheel. Like, you don't know exactly where they are, but if you know where one is, then you also know where one isn't. Right? Because there's a minimum distance between them. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yep.
So if you see one and you have to get out of the way, you always know you can stand right before it or right behind it, and you'll always be safe. If you randomly teleport somewhere across the map, there's always a decent chance that you get hit. Almost like a 30 to 40% chance, right, with how wide the hitbox is. But if you can see one, then you know you should always know at least 2 spots where there won't be a rock falling. So it's always going to be about that, learning about that rhythm of where the stuff falls, and the rhythm of whenever you see an indicator on the ground, and what that means with how long you're going to have until you have to move out of the way. And that's practice. I think it would be that loud. No, usually it wouldn't, but I had to buff my audio quite a bit because of the mic volume, so it came out that loud. Thank you for the 1 year, JHK. Appreciate it, bro. 1 year already, dude. Jeez. That guy started a year ago, and now he has like a 275, way stronger than me character. You know, that could be you, man. In a mere 1 year, killing Black Mage.
I hope.
Yeah, that's the goal. Do you want to go like all the way?
I'd like to go all the way.
Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, so that's those bosses, and then right after that you'll have like Akechi is a new boss. You probably haven't. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Nah. Well, I've seen it on videos, but I haven't seen it.
It's a pretty long pre-quest with a lot of just holding down NPC chat, or a lot of interesting lore if you're into that stuff. But if you, it's not. It's a bit of an annoying boss, but it should be in the wheelhouse of bosses that once you get the hang of it, you should be able to kill pretty quickly. And it does have an 86 mil crystal every week, and it gives 30 points as well for the cores. Which are going to be important for this shop, and we'll get into that in a little bit, I guess. But like the current shop has a bunch of droplets available in it, in 2 separate stores. So one that you can buy from Mezzos, and then the other ones you can buy for the Neo cores. So you'll want to get a lot of those to make sure that you can purchase those droplets. Are you aware of droplets and what they do?
Nope, not at all.
Okay. So there's 2 kinds. First kind drops in Lacaline and Esfera. No, Lacaline and, in Morass. And, wait, is that it? No, there's going to be another area there. There can just be 2 areas where they drop. I guess nobody trains there, though. Oh, yeah, and Arcana, of course. How can I forget the most important area? Yeah. So most people get most of them for Arcana. Their time in Lackland is too short, or their drop rate isn't high enough, or it's just they don't get too many there. Arcana is usually where most people get them, and then Morass, nobody really trains there. And then the second type drops in Asphera and Celis, and now also drops in all of Tenebris, so in Moonbridge, Labyrinth of Suffering, and in Limina. It doesn't matter that much anymore because there is a droplet exchange service coming soon, an NPC where you can just trade one for another. So it doesn't really matter where you get your droplets from anymore, because for Reboot specifically, it was very restrictive. Because what you do is you need a lot of them, and then do you remember how to make Abzo gear?
Is that the Scrapyard Dailies and the tree one?
Yeah, well, those are weeklies now, but yeah, those, and then you have to combine them with the boss drops, right?
Oh yes, yeah.
And then
that's
you have the coins.
Because I never did the boss.
Well, I think once you get through those bosses that we just talked about, like the next ones will be HMAG and Akechi and CPAP. It'll be like the next batch of bosses to do. I mean, I could give a very short advice for those. Like for HMAG, it's all about staying close enough while staying far away enough, right? You always want to stay in the blue curtain so you deal full damage and you don't get damage ticks. But if he doesn't attack, mainly the blue swipe attack, then you want to teleport back and then like teleport out and then teleport back in if you can. If the blue ball drops, of course, teleport out of that. I think if he slows you, like spiderwebs you can't teleport, I think. There is a skill, Exorcist Charm, that also gives you knockdown resistance. So if he's about to blue swipe you and you don't want to get yeeted all across the map, you can use Exorcist Charm to resist knockdown. So you will stay in place and just land in the regular place. Of course, if you're floating in the air for a little bit, that's kind of dangerous for HMAG because, those balls can fall mighty quickly sometimes and they might hit you. So that's the other thing. The other main advice is always fight HMAG in the middle of the map. That way you don't get any of the poison mist. Poison mist is like just pure AIDS, so stay away from that. And if you die, make sure that if you died, roughly in the middle of the map, then you're fine. Just stay dead and just wait for your cooldowns to come back. Just wait as long as possible. And if you die again, just do the same. And then you basically just wait out until your cooldowns come back. Do another big bind and burst on him, and just destroy him that way. The main way that you lose, especially if you're at the amount of damage that you are, is by losing your patience and just clicking res over and over. And then before you know it, you're out of lives and he's somehow still alive. But he can't, you win that fight as long as you wait it out, basically.
Okay.
That's the main thing for HMAG. For Akechi, it's just really annoying. Just try to kill him as fast as possible. Use all your bind and your burst and just go hard on him. It's just kind of a silly boss fight, I guess. Some people like to hug him into the corner. I feel like he's a little bit harder to kill in the corner because he'll jump around and swipe you around and I don't know. But he's just kind of annoying, but he's not super difficult. And there is a big crystal value, so it's just a little bit of practice. And then CPAP is way trickier. It's got some nice hitboxes, some delayed. You're on your EU ping, right?
Yep, EU ping indeed.
Mm-hmm. So that's sometimes difficult. Like those, you have those little cranes coming down to grab you, and then you're stuck for a while. You're gonna get hit by every other attack, and most of them kill you. So that's usually not a good thing. Yeah. So try to be cognizant of where you're standing, in the fact that you basically have to see a vertical line. Imagine a vertical line underneath where those hands are, and those are like the danger zones, and try to stay out of those if possible, of course. I do have a play-by-play for CPAP. I'll link it to you. It's like a guide that I made where I basically do a run myself on a weaker character, like not like super weak, but it's pretty early in. Oh wait, I should edit this. It's pretty early in the. There you go. I think that works. Pretty early in the progression, so it's a pretty long boss fight. I also fail some tests on purpose so you can kind of see what happens. And sometimes I die. Yeah, every time I die, it's super on purpose, of course, because otherwise I would do a perfect run, but then it wouldn't look, wouldn't look realistic. But yeah, but a lot of people are giving me good feedback on that, and have said that run or just that video in general was very, very helpful to get them to the point where they were able to kill the boss. Sometimes they have to watch it 1, 2, 3 times. But I've heard from many people that they went from just not knowing what the hell was going on and just immediately dying out to actually being able to kill him in like 3 to 5 attempts. So I hope that would do the same for you. I think you're at the stage of the game. But I would start with the easier bosses first, of course, and just work your way up there. But like with damage and with everything, and we'll look into all the details. But I didn't see anything crazy, at least. You should be able to get to that point in not too long of a time, because I think with everything that you have, we should get you to be able to. I'm not sure about maybe duo or like a party of 3, maybe to do Lotus and Damien. I think that's something that we can realistically aspire to in like 2 weeks or so.
2 weeks? Okay.
Yeah. It'll take playtime from you, of course, and it'll take practice, and it'll take some short-term and some mid-term and some long-term advice. But I think we can get you to that point in like 2 weeks, yeah.
All right, that would sound amazing.
I mean, of course, it depends on how strong those people are. You can get there today if you pick the right person in your party, of course. But I mean, like with other people around your level, duoing might be a little bit too early. But like 3-man party should be doable, I think.
Yeah, because at this point, I'm just not sure on what to focus on, what to upgrade, what am I missing.
Yeah, we'll get into all of that. So one thing we talked about, and the current event is pretty big, right? So what is the thing I want to mention first is like the current Neo event that's going on. It's really important because like the daily and weekly command, that's like a really good backbone for like what do I do in a day, what do I do in a week on a character. But the other thing that can really mess that up is what kind of events are going on. Because events can be for short-term, mid-term, and long-term, can have really big implications on the progression of your game, and as a result, sometimes you should see them as way more important than just a daily, right? Sometimes you should completely stop doing dailies and focus super hard on events instead, because they will rocket propel your progress through the game. And one of those things is droplets that we talked about. So the same thing with droplets, like with Abzo, is that you get the droplets, but you can only get them from the monsters when you're training. You cannot get them you have no dailies or weekly quests to get extra. So it's all about just grind. But since like a year ago or so, they started adding droplets to the event shops, to the big 6-month event shops. And they've been adding more and more recently. So there was recently a shop that was over the Maple Hotel. You maybe saw like the last day of that or something, but that was like the anniversary event for this year. But right now the shop has in total 200 droplets, so 50 of each. But again, there's the exchange coming, so it's not super important. But 50 of each for Mezzos, and then 50 of each max that you can buy with the Neo cores. So that's why it's important to work on those weekly bosses, right? That's why I spend way more time than I usually do in these sessions on like the bosses and some advice on those, because that's going to be a good baseline for you to be able to earn those cores, so you can get those droplets without the money, because there's probably other things that we can get the money to go towards, so if you don't have to use the money for it. The other thing is that in the current KMS update, and we should get a confirmation tomorrow, hopefully, maybe later today, but probably tomorrow with the patch notes for Korea. The Korea summer update, so our winter update, most likely in 6 months, seemed to have 800 droplets in it. You do need a lot for an equip, but you need like 108, I believe. Yeah, 108 for a armor and 216 for the weapon. But, people go for 5 sets, so even if you add all of that up together, that's 6 attacks worth, that's 648 droplets in total, which is a lot if you have to train and grind for it all. Even though they recently increased the amount of areas that drop droplets, and they increased the drop rate of them as well. If you can get, let's say, with throwing everything together, you can get like 100 now, and then with that event, you can get you can get some in between, and then maybe you get the remaining 500 or so off of that event if you make enough money by then. That's going to be like by the end of our winter update, right? So we're talking like end of January or something. There's a good chance that all of that together is going to be enough to get you like in full Arcane set.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so if you came back like a year ago, I would have said just aim for Abzo, try to aim for like 21 star level 150 gear, transfer hammered into Abzo, 20 star Abzo, and then upgrade that. Now it's like a completely different ball game because of the level of accessibility. Not only that, but they've also reduced the difficulty of the harder bosses. They've increased the drop rate for equips from the harder bosses, so there's even a chance that if you get into hard boss fights by then, that you might even already get a drop by then, and you don't even have to pay the droplets, or maybe you can use the droplets to see if you can push past 17 and get for backups. You know about booming and star forcing, right?
Yeah, I got some of that like before I quit.
Some of the booming might have even
the booming.
might have even led to some of the quitting.
Yeah, I think that played its part as well. It's crippling depression, man.
Yeah. Not everyone can deal with that. Well, some people try to like YOLO their equips because they're quitting anyway, and then boom more stuff. So that kind of stops them from coming back, I guess. Yeah, so that will be like a huge part of the progression, because that will determine how much we upgrade the equips that are in those slots that will go to Arcane. And for the dailies and the weeklies, that will also make it so that we will heavily prioritize getting access to the shops that have those items in it and be able to afford them. So therefore, weekly boss is very important, and making money, very important. And then... yeah, the stones, right? The Neo stones, if you can, like, get your daily... What is daily cap of 300, I believe?
Yeah, 300, true.
And then the crystal challenge, are you doing that one?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm getting, like, I think 1,000 something every day.
Yeah, it's a pretty gnarly... Once you get to the 1,300 one, it's like the bar doesn't even move. It's... I think it has like 80 trillion HP or something, the last phase, and it's level 280 or something, so... it's, yeah. Well, since the level cap... Yeah, the level cap increase and the damage cap increase together, they were like, oh, we can make it a bit harder. And, well, they did. Just a bit.
Speaking of Neo cores, right? I've only got 45 for this week. Is that acceptable? Is it decent? Is it bad?
Well, the max is 400. I think someone did the maths. If you want to be able to afford all of the... Does anyone remember how much it was? I saw it in chat yesterday. Someone was like calculating... Oh no, wait, that was for the crystal thing, to be able to afford the big potion. I don't know if anyone calculated how many cores you have to get every week to be able to buy out all the droplets. It's 2,000 for droplets in 11 weeks. So you need to get half, a little bit under half, like 190 or something. Yeah. So that's kind of like your goal, I guess, to go towards. We can look at which bosses are... Because there's the list, right? Neo patch, no. Wait, why is my video not in here? Oh, God. Imagine not linking my video. Cringe. That's kind of cringe, don't you agree? Doesn't even... Oh, God. Neo update... Oh, here we go. Found it. Found it. Shh. Okay. Oh, no, wait. I don't need that. There we go. There we go. Core, Neo cores. That's part of the Maple Hotel thing, I think. Ah, here it is. So you got what, 45?
Yeah, I got 45 this week.
So which ones did you do? Did you do like Hilla, Ping Bean, Cygnus?
Let's see. Yeah, Chaos Ping Bean, Hard Hilla, Easy Cygnus. The Queen from the Root Abyss. Which one? Chaos Sakun. I think that's it.
And then that's 35, right? Did you do Pierre or Princess No? or Von
Princess. Yeah, Princess. I did
Princess.
Princess.
No? Yeah. Okay, and that's 45. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we can get you to the point where you can do Pierre and Von Bon. That'll be an extra 20, and then if you can do Magnus and Kale's Vellum, that's an extra 20 each. And then Akechi that we talked about, Akechi Mitsuhide, he's not, like, he's just annoying, but not super duper strong. That one is 30, and CPAP is also 30. So I think we can build up to at least being able to do that. Should have to be 60, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 165. The one thing is, for Cygnus, you can do both easy and normal. Probably not anymore this week. But if you can do normal on the Kanna and then easy on another character, you can get 5 cores from each one of those.
Okay. I don't think I have another character capable of doing that.
Yeah, no. Well, that's why I said, because now you've already done easy on this one, right? And you can clear either one only once per week per character. So you'd have to do normal on the Kanna and then see if there's another character that can join easy Cygnus. I don't know. What is your second strongest character?
Well, still hot garbage though. But,
okay.
let's not talk, we don't talk about this.
Yeah, is the Legion not a?
Nah, I haven't invested that much time.
Not worth sharing. Oh yeah, you even blanked out the characters. Oh boy, not even. They've even been cropped out. Okay.
It was very depressing.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so if that's not something you can work, but then at least, so if you can get to that point, then we'll be at 165, right? That's already a way different thing than 45. And if you get that, yeah. So like I said, like even if you can't afford all of them, it's not bad. It's not that bad because there's a huge amount coming in the winter, and you'll have a lot of time before you know, to like practice all the bosses, get set, like learn your character again, grind, go to a new area, do a bunch of dailies and stuff. And then, you know, we'll talk about where you focus all your money and your efforts, and you, in the long term, you're just like saving up for those droplets, because they seem to be all for mezzo, all purchasing. So it's going to be mainly just saving up money once that winter event hits, and then just buying a whole load of those. So I think that's something reasonable to work towards. Yeah, and then maybe, you know, towards the end of the event, party Lotus, party Damien, and maybe party Lucid, depending on how far, like how fast you go and who you join. Easy Lucid is 30, and normal Lucid would be 40. Yeah, that again, that could be possible around your level, but it depends on a lot of other factors, of course, and connections and all that stuff. But if you could do normal or easy Lucid as well, and the Damians, then we're looking at 200 and 55. So then you would be over the point where you might actually be able to afford all of the droplets by the end of the event. So, you know, the more weeks you have a low score, the more weeks you have to have a higher score to compensate for that. So the faster you progress in that, the faster you can take those extra bosses into your weekly rotation, the more reliably. So, like, even if it takes another 5 weeks, I would say, until you can do easy Lucid Party, for example, then you might still, you know, on average, still be able to get to enough cores in total. Anything faster than that will give you a little bit more breathing room, I guess.
All right.
So,
but
let's do.
I mean, so the cores, right? You prioritize spending it for droplets.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't think there's much else in the shop that you can spend the cores on. I think some people said the core shop in general is otherwise pretty sad. Pretty sad.
All right.
I don't know what else is in there. Because the most other stuff, I think the good stuff you buy with the Neo Stones, I think.
Which caps out at 300 a day, right?
Shop. Yeah, but then there's the weekly quest as well that just reset. The Leo's Journal. If you do that one, that's an extra. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? Like an extra 1,000, I think.
Okay.
So it's pretty big as well per week. The progress for that quest, you could do one quest at a time, and then you go to the next one. The progress shares between your account, between your characters in your account, but you have to pick one up before you can do the next one. Yeah, otherwise we just have we have flames and flame boxes, and then that's it for the cores. Yeah, so the droplet's gonna be the most important.
Okay, so cores is droplets, the stone. What do you buy with the stones again?
Well, we'll kind of have to see what your account is at. For like very new people, it's usually just it's usually nodes. Nodes is very important. For you, it might be that we look at stuff like, oh, it's these two, right? That we look at stuff like maybe flames and cubes, probably not. I typically try to steer away from items that you can buy anyway with just Mezzo outside of events and try to prioritize items that are only available in shops. So it could be either the event rings, we'll have to see what your ring situation is, or stuff like the symbols, just to get you kick-started on that, because it's, you know, years of progress of symbols that we have to catch up on, right?
Yeah, true.
And symbols are just insane. Access to new areas, a lot of stat in them, and you can have access to a whole lot of them. You can buy a lot of them, so you can just pretty much sink all of your stones into that. I think the 17 star scroll is worth this though. Usually I just use the Star Force calculator to see how much something would cost in the first place, and then see 7,000 Neo stones. That's a lot, dude. I don't know about 7k for a 17 star item. I don't know. That seems pricey. If you're gonna go hard enough to have so many stones lying around, then it might be, but that's a lot. Yeah. If you have like a side capping mule so that you can buy just that one item and then transfer it to whatever character you need it on afterwards, that could save you some mezzo, but, you know, yeah. Is what I would say to that. Yeah, so that's roughly the shop and the current event, I think.
Alright. Wait, but there's the blue gems as well, huh? Is that any different?
Yeah, for those you have to do the mini games. Those are mostly or only like cosmetic stuff, where it's like looks and what else, like mounts and chairs and that kind of stuff. Typically, that's like completely up to the person if you want to spend time on that. Like that's all you. Typically, I don't really occupy myself with that too much, so I'm pretty functional in that regard. So.
Yeah. Then I think someone in your guild mentioned I should get the heart for the 2 billion mesos.
Yeah, there's the heart as well. Yeah, and the mezzo. Yeah. I'm not talking about the mezzo shop. I guess I could jump back to the mezzo shop real quick. I kind of skipped that one. Yeah, you don't have one right now. You have like a shitty old item, or not even a heart at all.
Yeah, I have nothing. And I have exactly 2 bill mesos now, so it's my life saving.
Well, so there is the droplets that you can buy. That's 5 bill in total just for buying out those droplets. And then the heart would be next in line. Yeah, those would be both very useful. Yeah. Yeah, Wondroid came back earlier this year, so there's no way to know if maybe it'll come back early-ish next year, but then, or maybe not. Maybe you have to wait another year. That's kind of a gamble. And even then, you can get Wondroid. I mean, you can make it so that you can get hearts on a bunch of different characters just to fund them a little bit. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a waste on this character or anything like that, so.
See, so would you say spend mesos on the droplets first, or just buy the heart? I don't know if it upgrades anything.
What do you mean if it upgrades anything?
Like, does it make me stronger? Is it, like, important?
The heart?
Yeah.
Well, the main thing is that it can get potential, then it's permanent. So it can go down to 12.9 or up to 12.99%, up to 30% stat. Also, hearts have the lowest amount of junk lines, so it'll be very cheap to roll to that as well compared to all the other items. And as long as you have an android that you can equip it with, it's like an extra item with extra stats that you wouldn't have otherwise. All of the other alternatives is either the Wondroid heart, which, like I said, is like a seasonal event that comes around every 1 or 2 years at best, or our temporary level 30 hearts who do absolutely nothing for you except for be frustrating and too expensive and too time consuming to work on. You probably want to yeah, probably prioritize the heart if you don't have that, and then do the droplets after that. Because like I said, like you're gonna have to wait probably until the winter event anyway to be able to make up the difference of droplets to gain, and there's gonna be enough in just that shop to give one character a full arcane set anyway. So don't necessarily have to like get ahead of yourself too much in the droplets now. So I would put a lower priority than the heart for you.
All right.
Okay. Anything else from the events that you had a question about?
No. Event that's solid, I think.
Okay. So yeah, are you familiar with the progression grid that I have? With the game stages? Yeah, there's so many of them. It's like the different stages of the game and like how strong you want to be roughly.
I had a browse, but I didn't completely understand it.
Okay. What was confusing? Just all of it, or because there's some extra.
Pretty much all of it. Yeah.
Well, there's some extra info on the side. Basically, range is a bad indicator. Range doesn't show you how strong your character is, right? So I set out to see, like, well, how can you actually tell how strong someone's character is if you can't use range? Because there is just a lot of stuff that gives you damage, and it doesn't show up in your range at all. So someone with the same range as someone else can be doing half of their damage or 4 times their damage. You really can't know that. So I looked at all of the other numbers that are important to know, and those are the ones that contribute to your damage. And if you fall within the metrics of these numbers for all of these different categories, then you are basically strong, or like you are at the point where you want to be around your level. And then you can use that daily grid that we looked at before. Then you can use the daily grid to basically use your level as a proxy instead of range. That's the idea behind this. And then the underlying thing is also what's taken into account is what you were talking about before and what you were asking about is like the balance of where do you spend your time and your money. So what this also takes into account is just the general amount of access you have to sources of damage. And based on if you're, way over in some category or way under in another category, focusing on a category where you have the most room to grow will be, at least from an efficiency standpoint, a better use of your time. Now, that's not to say that, you can't possibly progress on anything until everything is at the level, of course. Another factor is how much fun do you have doing something, If something is absolute torture for you, then you want to postpone that and just overcompensate that with another area. Of course, but you can only do that for so long. At a certain point, like even if you completely hate Legion, if you're trying to get stronger at level 300, like re-rolling your weapons, like re-rolling all of your equips to double or triple prime lines that's going to be like a way of getting stronger. But just working on your Legion is going to take so much less time for way more gain, right? So at a certain point, overcompensation can be very, very inefficient. So. Basically, what the rest of the session will be is we'll kind of look at where you are. So at least I'm probably going to be updating this soonish because the level cap went up to 300. So that and more content is coming out for level 270 and 260 and above, and new bosses and stuff. So it's probably going to shift a little bit in when these stages begin and end. I'm still kind of thinking about like what makes sense there. But for now, we'll use this model still. So you're like roughly halfway into what would be the late game category here, right?
Yep.
So we'd like to see if we kind of slice down the middle. It's not an exact science, of course, but kind of slice down the middle. We could see if you're like way far off one or the other groups. And then based on that, we will take that into... We'll keep that in mind when we're talking about like the progression and where you want to spend your time, basically. So one thing that I think you're probably behind a little bit on is Arcane Power. I don't know what your current one is. You can start from the bottom and work our way up, I guess. That's how we're going to do it now. You're at 600. I think that's roughly 14. Yeah, I think the halfway mark here is like 680. So... once you access a Sphera, of course, you speed up some more symbols. You get an extra symbol and you speed up the other dailies, right? Are you aware of all of the dailies? Because we had a bunch of dailies added in existing areas. And with Neo, we also had amplification of the amount of symbols that you can get for certain areas.
I was about to ask about that, yeah. I heard about it, but I'm a bit clueless here.
Okay, so you have all the main areas explored, and you have those symbols for those areas. Have you done Reverse City and Yum Yum Island storylines?
I just did the Yum Yum storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done the reverse one.
Okay, so if you complete the Yum Yum one, you get those symbols at the end, and you get a riveting lore storyline, of course. That is the main reason why we play this game. But then what happens if you do the kill or gather quests in town with Master Lick? Have you done those?
Yep.
Then the symbols you get from those is doubled from 4 to 8 if you completed Yum Yum. So that's up to 4 extra symbols a day. And then the other daily you have in Choo Choo is the Hungry Muto PQ, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then in Vanishing Journey, it's kind of like the same thing. So you have a little mini game one, just like Hungry Muto. You have Urda Spectrum. That one might be new to you.
That is indeed new, yes.
So it's the all the way on the left side is where the NPC is that gives you the dailies, and right next to her is another NPC. That's the NPC you talk to the Urda Spectrum. Basically, you kill Urdas to gain Urda energy, and then you talk to or you use your NPC chat to activate a machine that creates orbs, and then you push the orbs with your NPC chat button, or with your regular attack. Now I don't know. No, with your regular attack. This is my muscle memory does all of this. If you actively think about it, so it's so weird. But you basically push the balls to the side into the corner of the same color, and then you get 10 points in total. The blue and the red balls are 1 point, and the purple ones can go either side and are worth 2 points. And then you get to a second stage, either one where you just kill all the monsters that spawn until the timer runs out, or one where the Armas spawn, the big green neon snakes. And then you gather points again by killing the smaller monsters, and you hold the NPC chat on the machine in the middle to create a beam, and the beam pushes the Arma snake back into the corner. And all you do is just push 5 Arma snakes back into their corner. And you can see a counter up top, so you can see for sure that it's been pushed all the way in and not just like until you can't see it anymore. So you kind of have to look at the number there. And then that's the second stage done. And since you already have so many areas completed, you can auto-complete the other ones. So that can give you 6 symbols a day. But usually it's 3. You could do that 3 times a day for 2 symbols each.
Okay. Just a quick recap. The Choo Choo Island one, right? The Yummy Island, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do that daily, I get 8 symbols, you said?
Well, so Yum Yum is just the storyline, and then if you do they don't have their own dailies, but they double up the kill quest or gather quest dailies from Choo Choo. So if you talk to Master Lick and you complete that, you'll get 8 symbols in a day for doing the same amount of quests. But the dailies can sometimes be in the Yum Yum Island area and sometimes in Choo Choo area.
Okay, so that's 8. And then I can still do the Muto thing, right?
Muto, yeah, for up to 15, so for a total of 23, up to 23 per day. And then in Vanishing Journey, so if you complete Reverse City, the whole storyline, and get those symbols there, then you also will get the double from Vanishing Journey from the regular kill and daily quests from, I think Rona is her name, right? Like on the left, next to the other NPC. And then she will also sometimes give you dailies in Reverse City that you have to go do.
Okay, solid. So those are the only 2 new things, right?
Yes. Yeah, well, in those areas, but like every area now, except for Morass and Asphera, has 2 dailies a day, and Morass and Asphera are getting their new ones soon, hopefully. We're hoping that will be part of the second update in KMS right now, but that'll probably be in July for KMS, so that'll be like, fucking December for us. So Lachaline also has 2 dailies, like a kill quest. So if you go 1 map to the north of the map, there's where the hideout is, where the whole storyline in Lachaline was, the guys with the different masks and stuff.
Yep.
They have regular kill quests as well in the area for 4 symbols a day. And then Arcana has kill quests per day from NPC that's just to the right of in like the beginning map, the tree spirits. Those have yeah. So that's for and those are 8 a day. So the total max you're looking at is 6 plus 14, so 20 a day. No, not 14. 6 and 16. 22 a day from Vanishing Journey. And then 8 and 15, so 23 a day from Choo Choo. a 4, and you know, however far you get in Lachaline, I don't know what floor were you able to clear. Do you have to climb again, or?
I think I left on 40 or 50.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure I can go higher now since I heard things got easier, maybe.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but you didn't restart the Dream Defender Tower yet?
No, I haven't.
Just climbing there will probably be a good idea, because you know the first climb is always takes a while. So if you have time for that, to make sure that you know however far you get, you can just log in every day, just clear the floor that you can, the decimal floor that you can, and then just go out autocomplete, and then be done with that daily until you make any big upgrades or you feel a lot stronger. Then you can, or you save up a lot of those points, right, that you can use to use the bell.
Yeah.
Then you can see if you can push like another 10 floors, but other than that, just use it for a daily. Pop in, clear one floor, pop out, so that you don't waste too much time on that daily. So yeah, let's say that you can do 50 there, so that would be 5, and then 1 extra from the NPCs, right? Talking to the NPCs for the extra coins would be 6, and then 4 from the daily, so that would be 10 daily there. So you can already see the difference, right? Like 22, 23, and then 10. And then Arcana should be 18, 10 from Spirit Savior and 8 from the kill quests, and then Morass now is just 8 per day, and Esfera is also going to be 8 per day once you reach there. So that kind of also gives you an idea, right, if you can get symbol selector coupons and stuff like that, where you probably want to use those first, so that you can get the highest value per circulator that you get, right? Because it's not, you know, one symbol for one is not worth one symbol for the other one, but it's for one it's 1/8 of your daily, and then for the other one it's 1/23 of your daily, right? So that's how you want to look at it. You want to be done with all your dailies like at the same time, roughly. You want to synchronize them if possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So symbols might be the thing, and especially the Sphera and Morass ones, they get pushed a lot by the event shop, right?
Yeah, true.
And, you know, it's also a really big source of damage, so that's why I started with that one. So the second thing is nodes. So your node skill levels, that's another one. But you already know, like, with Arcane Power and with your nodes, right? Like, these are both sources of final damage, and neither of these show in your damage range. So that's why I felt it was so necessary to make something like this. Because people be like, oh, I have 1 mil range, but I can't kill it. What's wrong? It's like, well, 1 mil range doesn't tell me anything with how strong your character really is. So I'm going to need way more info.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the nodes, are you... well, you're still getting used to those new skills, I guess.
Yeah, I just found out yesterday or the day before.
You have quite a lot of skill nodes, and every class has 4 nodes now, 4 skills now, specific ones, and then a bunch of like common mage skills or what's it called, like Sengoku skills, right? And then all of your decent skills, and then all of your boost nodes on top of that. So there's a lot to go into.
That is a lot, yeah.
What is your... Because you had a picture with your levels, right? Yeah, okay, here. Charm 36. Other charm is 54. So the ones that were like in their 50s, are those part of 3 boost nodes?
I think so.
Like 19 is in 1, 36-ish ones are in 2, and then the 50+ ones are in 3, I think, right?
Actually, I'll open it up right now. Let me have a look.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2.
Yeah, they're in 3. So I don't really have the optimal nodes, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, just like the last guy, you also are missing the boss. The ghost boss, Yaksha, dude.
Yeah.
Big punchy man.
My Shikigami haunting is also on the low side. I think I did this before the Vanquisher Charm had a cooldown on it.
Yeah, this is probably like a long time ago. Vanquisher Charm is still good, but like, oh man, up until you probably get to like the hard bosses, it's just the tool that you use to charge domain with, and that's kind of it. Your other like priorities are just keeping your party alive and making the callouts and cleansing and all that stuff in the different boss fights. The main thing when Vanquisher Charm comes in is when you're going to be like become the big damage dealer, because Domain plus Vanquisher Charm, and then if you have Domain maxed, you will be able to use almost a full Vanquisher Charm again at the end of your domain as well on a max domain. You'll be able to use like 75% of another Vanquisher Charm. And those things combined are going to be a whole lot of damage. But until you get to that point, Vanquisher Charm is lower priority. So are you aware of like reshuffling matrix runes and how to do that? Sorry, not runes, but the nodes, how to do that efficiently?
Nope, not at all.
So if in the same way that you know how to level up nodes, right? To enhance them?
Yeah, the NPC guy in Vanishing Journey there, right?
Yeah, but you right click and then if it has the same top node, you can fuse them up together?
Nope.
Wait, how did you get to level 14?
It's a long time ago, man.
So basically you right click one, you click enhance, and then a bunch of nodes will show up. And those are nodes that have the same, what we call top skill, basically. It's just the one that's mentioned first in name. If you look at the 3 skills that are part of the boost node. So any other skill that has the same skill mentioned first, that one will be able to level up the existing one. But in the same way, you can use a currently leveled up one to level another one that has the same top skill. So if you find a new one that has a better combination of skills of what you want, you can just use the level. You can just right-click the level 1 and say enhance, and then pick the level 14 to enhance it with, and then transfer all of the experience into the other one. And that way you can puzzle around and find the right combination, because you want every of those skills twice each, right?
Yes, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually the nodes go to 25, that makes them a total of 50, into 2 level 5 slots, and then to level 60, and that's the max level that you can boost a single skill. And that way you don't, you kind of avoid having 12 boost nodes in there to try to get everything maxed, because that eats into a whole bunch of skill nodes.
Yeah. So how do I obtain like the ideal nodes? Because right now I just have some random stuff on it.
Well, the main thing is just you open up a whole bunch of them and you find which combinations work. Since you already have some leveled up, I would prioritize having those as the main, as the ones that are kind of like locked in. And then you look for other nodes that start with those skills and have different configuration of skills. So you probably just have to open nodes for a while and just kind of see what you get, and then puzzle around with them and see what you need. So the main thing is going to be see which ones you have of 3 of now, and then see if you can find other nodes with the same existing nodes as those, and see if it has like 2 of the same skills but 1 different, and then switch it around. But only switch if you have the set of 6 nodes that you're going to eventually use, and then switch them all at once. Don't switch one, because as soon as you switch one, you have less options for the other ones, right?
Oh yeah, true, yeah.
So yeah, so you're basically going to have to open and hold for a while until you can fix the puzzle. So for Kanna, here, this will be your this will be the 3 trios that you're looking for, and then for the question mark at the end, I think it would be best to use the Orochi for that one, because you already have a level 14 Orochi. So since you have enough slots, they can kind of be in any combination. It's not super necessary that it's like 3 of the first one, and then another node with 3 of the first one, and then the 3 of the second one, right? It can be a little bit more mixed and matched. That way you have way more outs and a way easier time finding all of the nodes to throw together.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah, the top skills are important.
Do I ever disenchant nodes?
So you could, but I typically only advise people to do that up to like level 7 or 8, because if you disenchant, you get shards back, but there is reduced efficiency there. Quite a lot. So to maintain your current investment, I would look at nodes with existing top lines and then use those first to realign which skill, which second and third skill are locked in with the top skill, and I wouldn't disenchant any of them. The ones that you would disenchant is once you find the 6 that you're going to use, then you can disenchant all of the boost nodes that have a top skill that is not one of the 6 that you're going to use, because those will be completely useless, and then you can get shards out of that.
Okay. How about the skill nodes? Like, for example, the do I even use that? Mana Overload, Urda Shower, all that?
I would say that you can comfortably, as a Kanna, you can get rid of Urda Shower. I think that's comfortably very unnecessary. There are some niche situations where some people use it for like an AoE, but it's kind of scuffed and you already have so much in your arsenal. I think you can comfortably get rid of that. The other one I would get rid of is oh god, I think Kanna kind of can use everything. You can kind of use Speed Infusion, you can kind of use Sharp Eyes, you can kind of use Blessing and Combat Orders, and Blink is changing to a passive weapon and magic attack buff later. So having that one, you know, that's all for much later. But I think, yeah, Mana Overload is really good. It gives you 8% final damage immediately, like all the time, but it makes your skills consume HP. So if your HP is not in trouble, Mana Overload is actually a really good skill because, you know, 8% more damage on everything is really, really solid. But like final damage, right? So just plus 8%. And Weapon Aura is really good. That's an extra iframe. And you're going to have that fourth V skill. Basically, as a Kanna, especially if you're maining Kanna, you're going to want like the whole grid available, basically. Because everything gives you something eventually. So I wouldn't go out of my way to level up any of the decent skills and stuff, but if you find them, I would keep them and just fuse them with what you already have. The only decent skill that people typically level up is Decent Holy Symbol, because it does go up in percentage EXP gain and percentage drop rate that it buffs you with. So that is typically one that gets leveled. The other ones just slowly level up to like level 6 or 7 by the time everything else is maxed. And then if you still, you know, want to hardcore min-max your account, then you can start leveling up your decent skills. But mostly by that time, people start funding some other characters with nodes to make those stronger, to have a little bit more diverse gameplay.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay. Anything else with the Matrix that you're wondering about?
Nah. Guess I just gotta farm some more nodes, get lucky. Is there any node in particular that I'm missing?
Well, you have the blue one now, right?
Here's something
the blue one extra.
Yeah.
So
high Scardor/Dower.
I would probably throw Decent Holy Symbol in there. So for mobbing, just because it's more EXP, and then for bossing, probably use Mana Overload. Probably instead of Rope Lift. Do you find yourself using Rope Lift a lot?
Not really.
Because they've changed the teleport, right? Since you played, it's way way more responsive. And you also have Shikigami Charm. Have you used that skill?
Yep. They didn't have that one before either, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So if you like jump Shikigami Charm into up teleport, like that's basically the range of your Rope Lift, right? It's possible that Rope Lift still helps you sometimes in Spirit Savior. So you can like equip it for that, but in general, I think it's kind of a wasted slot on this character. Most maps, you're just able to teleport around or use like in-map teleports, or once you have those mana veins on the ground, you can random teleport to those. I don't know if you've played around with that, because that's probably also new to you, right? Have you seen those areas, those like purplish areas on the ground sometime?
Oh yeah.
So if you use teleport without a direction. Because, you know, in the past, you could just use teleport randomly across the map, right? Which made Kanna super OP. Now you can still use that in maps. You can still random teleport in town maps, but not in monster maps. But if you have one of those mana veins on the ground, you can randomly teleport into any area that has one of those veins. You can teleport between them with directionless teleport.
Okay.
And what you can also do is you can put a barrier on top of them, and it will make the barrier effect bigger and just easier for people to stand in. And it'll also make it so that that barrier does not passively consume extra of your mana. Because you probably tried playing around with barriers sometimes and put like a lot of them. In the past, you could just spam infinite barriers, but now the more barriers you have out, the more passive mana is consumed, until sometimes it just takes all of your active mana regeneration and you just don't gain mana at all anymore. So you want to be careful, especially when you're bossing, that you don't just throw a whole bunch of barriers out there. So that got a lot trickier.
Yeah, that's a good heads up.
Yeah, I think that's the Matrix. Oh shit, we actually only have like 10 minutes left. That's gonna be tricky. There's a lot to cover. A little more than I was thinking, but if you just interrupt for flag race and nurses, that we can still... I still have a little bit of time. We might go over a little bit, but that's fine. But anything else with the V Matrix that you're wondering about?
No, it's all clear. Thanks, man.
Okay. So that clears the levels. Yeah, I guess you boost Vanquisher Charm more, maybe. Nah. Like, the hyper skills are still a little bit weird for Kanna. It's kind of... feels like you have to be level 260 before some of those start doing something. Some are useful in boss fights, though. Let's see. So the main thing, the other thing that we're mainly looking at is going to be like a crit and the IED. But I guess we can just go up on a list. We have Flames, Star Force. God, I should start from the top, huh? Let's see. What's your Legion level at? Almost 4K, right?
I think so. Let me have a look.
Where was it? Oh, here.
3.2.
3.2, okay. Have you terror burned already this event?
Not yet.
Okay. And have you kind of looked into it? See which character you might want to do?
I haven't looked into it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about doing it just to, you know, boost up my Legion a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But not too fussed about which character in particular.
Okay. Yeah. So there's like two major things. One would be just the character that benefits your account the most. Is probably right now the best idea. Or if you want to like side main a character, like have another character that you play regularly and get it pretty strong pretty quickly because of all of the rewards you get on there, that might be a good pick. The other thing would be, who was that by the way? Was that Brandon? Thank you, Brandon. Also for the 12 months. Appreciate it, bro. The other thing would be that once you get further into the game, or you're like closer to 6K or something, then I would prioritize terror burning just on characters that you absolutely hate, because then that'll just, you know, be good for your mental health, I guess. Yeah, that
solid advice.
Yeah. Yeah. So for now, I have for link skills and for Legion, I have a. Boop. I have this. I don't know if you've seen this one.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I had a look at that.
Mm-hmm. So I basically incorporate the link skills and the Legion together into one big pile for just more efficiency for account building. And then based on the priority that I think exists between how important the stats are, that basically ends up with the, you know, column A of the order of leveling characters. As long as you kind of follow that order, you can't really go wrong. So if you also care about if a class is hard to train or not and is just annoying to do, you can also check !classes. I try to do a tier list of all the classes in the game, which is of course kind of tricky, especially difficult to keep up to date with how much this game changes. But you know, it's a constant work in progress. But if you look at the early game, and this, you know, this ties back to the progression stages again, right? The same early, mid, late, end, the same categorization there. You can look at some classes that the leveling speed, for example, is really bad early on. Those characters will also disproportionately help you gain more value for terror burning. But I also have like a specific video. I mean, I guess I can send that one as well. I don't know if you've seen that one for like what to terror burn in Neo.
Hey guys.
Hey guys. So checking that video if you want to decide like what to terror burn might also be a good idea. And there's 2 terror burns in this cycle. One now, and then the second one starts on July 21st. So there's 2 characters that you can pick and line up, and that way you can, you know, if there's a class you already know you're going to terror burn, you don't have to worry about now. Because I think in general for Legion building, the main gains are just make one of each of the characters. Like that's just general advice that I give everyone. Try to get it to level 60, then move on to the next one, because at level 60 the level starts adding to the Legion, right?
Yeah.
You have 15 more characters who can count. 60 levels 15 times, that's 900 levels that you can get there. So that would already put you at 4.1. If 2 of those are terror burn instead, that's another 280. So with how much you already have, you'll probably be at 4.4. And then 4.5 is like really close to that. So you're talking an extra size on your grid, bunch of extra characters that are that are playable on the put on the board, putable, and that will give you their Legion rewards and the grid bonus, all of that. And yeah, then you can start really snowballing with the newer characters as well, because once you put all the links and the Legion towards a new character, it'll be way stronger, and that'll give you more. At least for me, that helped me play those characters, because I wasn't all about playing all the classes in the game, but it's mainly because you can have very bad experiences with classes because you play them at their weakest, right? Especially if you play a non-mage character, so you have a lot of blue stuff going on. So if you play another mage, you get a lot of intellect from your board, and that's kind of nice. But if you play a non-mage, like you have 3 warriors in there, and then a little bit of dex, but that's kind of it, right? So if you play them at their weakest, it's really hard to enjoy characters at their weakest, and it's really simple to enjoy them at their strongest. So try to keep that in mind as a little bit of context for, you know, how you judge a character and how you rank it in your head. But yeah, as long as you follow that general order, then you can't really go wrong. So either for Terrorburn or for which character you want to make next for Link Skills or Legion, that would be my advice on that.
Yeah, solid. Thanks, man.
You also have 2 presets that you can use now. 2 are free. So one setup like this is fine, right? If you're training, seems pretty good. And then the other setup you can make for bossing. So then I would probably, you know, we would probably want to move a bunch of stuff into IED there, because Kanna IED typically very low. And if you're looking for bossing and you want to solo stuff, you're gonna need to do all the damage, so the IED will be necessary there. Okay. So you prioritize critical rate until you get up to 100%. Then max out your critical damage. Then throw everything in IED, and then if you have anything left, then you can throw it into intellect. But intellect and magic attack, the further you go, are basically just going to be used to connect critical damage and critical rate together. Just, put a bunch of archer and mage pieces there to just like a horizontal line from one side to the other. But then filling the outer grids are going to be more and more important, especially once you get to 4K. Those surfaces are going to get very big. So, and then you might even start filling in boss damage, once you're really doing those bosses to get more damage there.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll make a second preset later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have 2 free ones, and then you can buy extra ones, but yeah, I think most people just use the 2. Okay, any other Legion questions, maybe?
Nope. Just gotta mentally prepare myself for the hard work.
Yeah. It's once you get to 100, I think it gets really simple just to log in, do Zakum, and log out again on like a bunch of characters. It's like slow and steady, but if you have a lot of characters that you're doing it on, it's essentially like you're just constantly just farming Zakum, right? And you'll have a whole platoon of 160s before you, or 140s before you know it. Typically until like 140, I think Zakum is decent EXP. And then if you have a whole platoon of 140s and you have a few characters a little bit higher because of, Terrorburn and maining, then you should get to 6k in quote-unquote no time. But, so if you keep the progression milestones in mind, like 6k is kind of what I have in mind once you're at like 250 around there. So, that's kind of the pace that you want to keep in mind. So, you're not actually too bad in that regard. It's a little bit on the lower side, but we have 2 Terrorburns, so that'll definitely pick that back up. What else? Star Force? Yeah, so Star Force is something I'll specifically look at when we go over all the gear. I have it set to 201 to 325. You're at the early 230, so you don't move into the other gear yet. So you're probably like mid 200s or something. Would be like a good place to be at. And you are at 161. Okay, so that is on the lower end, specifically because you can also get Star Force on your secondary weapon. You know all about the Kanna fan, right?
Yep. I listened to the other Kanna the other day. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's so that might be Star Force might be something that we prioritize now, or at least something that we definitely make a plan for. And then what else? Flames. Yeah, I'll have to. I guess crit rate is very important, right? Just super important for everyone. Kanna has a little bit tougher time than most classes with that. So we'll make sure we have like a crit rate plan for you. So all the way up leveling from now on, that we also always make sure that you get up to 100% critical rate. And Ursa's decliners. The other thing is IED. So that's going to be specifically important for you because IED is tricky to get as a Kanna because you can't even roll it on your secondary. That doesn't even count. But it's very important to confirming your damage to bosses. When it comes to, and then the other thing is going to be flames, I guess, specifically for the equips. When it comes to IED and flames, do you feel like you understand how that works?
Just the flames, not entirely, but I haven't really researched that in depth.
But ID, that makes sense, how that works, and
Yeah.
the numbers and how that increases.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. For flames, basically, we want to make sure that we have some kind of calculation. Because if someone asks, like, what is better, one intellect of one magic attack, that's a very common question. And the answer is, it depends on how much you already have. Right? You can imagine that if you have 1,000 intellect and one magic attack, if you add one magic attack, because there's so little of it already, that's probably going to have a bigger effect than if you add one intellect onto that giant pile, right?
Yeah.
So diminishing returns and calculations and all of that in the back of your head, that's kind of like the baseline for it. It's not an exact science, but we basically look at if you follow these numbers, and again, this is all based on experience and based on other people's inputs, and this is proven like very, very accurate, both the margins and like the spillover. If you keep within these margins, you'll have a certain balance of all of the stats, and within the balance of the stats, that gives you a certain value, and of course, you know, fluctuations with different classes, but that gives you a certain predictive value of how much is one intellect, how much is one magic attack, how much is 1% all stat, like roughly how do those stats relate to each other if you added one of one and one of the other. And then specifically for Kanna, also HP and MP. And if you use the... and then basically based on those numbers that we see in the different stages, you can kind of predict how good a flame is now and how good it's going to be in a newer stage. And that can help you save money, because if you optimize for your current situation, but let's say that you have, you know, barely have 3k Legion and it's not established yet, and then you get to 6k Legion, because of more lopsided progress there, that can kind of shift the balance of the value of the flames more than other stuff. So as long as you kind of move gradually among all these fields at the same time, the value of the flame is still going to shift, but it's going to shift towards a certain point. And basically what the flame score does is it gives you a number, and that number is essentially like, if you throw all of the sources of damage and the item all onto one pile, then this is roughly how much main stat this flame is worth in this stage of the game, basically. Because early and mid is so short and there's so much fluctuation, I don't really have a calculation for that specifically, because there's just too much variation there. And also, you don't want to be min-maxing your flames for mid-game. That's just very expensive and it doesn't really make much sense. So for late game and end game, that's what I had the numbers for, but that's what I researched for, and that's what Seth from the community made this calculator for. And this is basically what you can use in the beginning to get an idea of what is the flame score. And then the flame score, so that's how much intellect roughly would this item be later on in the game. So it is possible that an item with a lower flame score gives you more damage right now, but that's just because your potentials and all of your stuff isn't set yet to the stage of the game that you're in. Does that all make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
So in the beginning, there's a whole video for flames as well that explains everything, what you look at. It talks about the difference between items with flame advantage and without flame advantage. Basically, some items just inherently get worse flames. It's not like a random item drop determination, but it's just the name of the item that determines that. Some items just, you know, were created differently, I guess. Systemic itemism. And if you check that video, there's going to be some tools in the beginning that you can look at, like a list of to see which items are which. And there's also the calculator that you saw on the screen for a little bit. That'll help you determine the numbers in the beginning, and you can use that as a guideline. But the further you go and the more experience you have with this, the more you'll just use a flame and you'll immediately see like, oh, this is garbage. And that's going to be like 95% of your flames are going to be garbage. But it's important to know that what is that 5% and what does that look like, basically. So with that in mind, that's like that gives you kind of a range of flame score that you're aiming for, both from the perspective of effectively using your flames, how much do you spend on flames, and what is something worth settling for, and what is something that's just really, really garbage and has a lot of room for improvement, and therefore is a low risk of flaming first, versus something that is already pretty close and has a very high risk of flaming first.
So if I get this straight, I should just wait until I have like my how to say it, ideal gear to flame? rather than investing in an early stage.
Yeah, in general, flaming is kind of put on the back burner early on. The main thing that's important is getting your weapon a good flame, and for you, the secondary weapon. Because those flames for weapons, those go into categories of weapon and magic attack, and that gives you those give you a percentage of the base of the weapon, which means that if you're I don't know what this was for. This might actually be for a fan from last time, like an Abso fan. I think it's 241. Yeah, that might be it. Like a tier 6 gives you 97 extra magic attack. And because of the flame score, you can put magic attack in here as a Kanna. Oh yeah, that is from Kanna. Yeah, that's a flame score of 388. And if you look at the grid, like that's basically like almost 4 items in late game with flame advantage worth of flame score in just getting that score on one item. So that one is just like so much more important. But other than that, yeah, it's something you just kind of do on the sides as you get flames from bosses, and until you get the gear that's pretty much like done or that you're going to keep for a very long time. And then you can start min-maxing those flames. But in general, and also there's no sale on flames. So in general, you look for Star Force events and potentially cube events, and then spend hard during those. And that way you can spend your money way more efficiently.
All right, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, so that's the difference between advantage and no advantage and advantage on flames. So that's the bracket. So you aim way lower, as you can see, right? Like half or even like a third of the score. And if there's a range, that's only on the upper end here and here, because some items that you keep might be level 140, like the Big Holy Cup, but other stuff might be level 160 or even level 200. And the higher the tier, the higher the individual numbers, and the higher flame score that's available on the same type of quality of flame. The video goes into that too, but let's say that you hit like a tier 6 roll on main stat. If you hit that on level 140 item, it's going to be a lower number than on a level 200 item, even though the quality and the rarity of the flame is the same. But we're looking at like what kind of rarity can you realistically achieve, not so much what is the number in them. So the higher you go, the higher the number is going to be for the same quality of flame. So that's why there's a range here for the upper end. Yep. But yeah, as you see for the end game, like people, yeah, some people now because of compensation and everything, but you missed all of that. But a lot of people were paid out all of the flames they used in the last 2 years on top of what they already had. So a lot of people went way higher on this end, but it doesn't mean it's really realistic, because most people just can't realistically get that many flames. It just doesn't really work. But yeah, so those are kind of like the flame scores you look for. And then for weapon, it's a bit different, because like I told you, like the tiers for the weapon works in a different way. So the priority is more that you look at the here is like the tier of the weapon and magic attack. That's the most important thing. And then later on you try to add some extra bonus stats like what is it? Boss damage, damage percentage, and percentage all stat or huge chunk of main stat. That would be what the plus stands for. So anything on top of that. And then IED makes sense for you, right?
Yep. Okay.
So then we went over all of these things. Those are like the main indicators. And with all of that in mind and what you are currently at, which is this. So this is buffed. And these are all the buffs that are active with that?
Yep.
Okay, and which link skills that you have active with that? These in the picture?
I think there's a picture down there.
Fury, Phantom, yep. Hybrid, Light Wash, Walrus, King. Okay, so just the one. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about familiars at all. Are you familiar with those?
Yeah, I YouTubed some of it, but I actually don't have any familiars.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're working on your Legion, you'll get some cards here and there. You can just transfer those all over to your main to open those up. The main thing that's going to be important for your Kanna to get in the short to midterm is to get IED from those. And rare and common ones can get lines of 15% IED. So if you can get 2 of those, that will be very, very useful. And you'll have to get at least 1 badge to unlock the second slot of the familiars. That's going to be that's going to be very important there.
But I can just grind that out with Legion over time, right?
Yeah, you can, but if you want to speed that up, you have to either go to an area where your Kanna can get them from drop from monsters, but that won't be until level 245. or you could farm them for a while if you want to in an area that drops them. Forsaken Excavation Site 2 drops them at a very good rate. And as a Kanna is very, you know, if you just really want to AFK, you just pop, what is the aura thing called again? The shield?
Oh, I know which one you mean.
Yeah.
It's called.
If you basically pop that in Kishin, you just stand in the middle of Phase 2, then your Suzumi flying around and your like passive effects basically just... You'll get a bunch of cards there as well if you want to fast track it a little bit, because that will, you know, because you know how IED works, right? Like the fact that you have 74%, that's gonna be blocking a lot of your damage from reaching the boss, and that's gonna make harder bosses like Seavel and then maybe Golix later, and you know, especially Lotus and Damien and those guys, is gonna make those way harder because a lot of your damage is not gonna go through.
Yeah.
And for partying it just slows you down, but for soloing it's gonna be rough.
So the only source for IAD for me right now is familiars?
That's like the main source, because that one's like wide open. There's some other sources. If you check !IED, there is a link to, you know, how it works, and also a link to sources. So basically we'll kind of go over these, like leveling up ambition, equip base stats. I don't know if you're working on the Monster Park medal.
Not yet.
So that's one where you can get IED and you can work on that slowly over time. I would advise to do that. That gives you a lot of Monster Parker potions, and you definitely want to be able to use those to get to speed up the progress of your Legion characters, and also just whenever you're training on your main character. You know about getting extra coupons for Monster Park?
Yep.
Then there's potential on your weapon, secondary, and emblem. Will most likely get at least one line on the Kanna. I don't know what you currently have on weapon, secondary, emblem. Emblem is damage and magic attack. Well, secondary is out of the question, of course. Make your current weapon. So use the Absolab Summoner as your Haku. And then the Magnificent Ursus as your weapon because of the set bonus.
No. Hold up. Let me double check that real quick. I've got 2 Absolabs actually. One for Haku and one for myself.
Okay, cool. Did you transfer the other one, the Fafnir, into it?
No. I have the Fafnir in my bag. I'm just not sure what to do with it.
Okay, wait, so is one of your Absolabs clean then, or?
I think that one's clean, is it? Hold up.
Hold up. Waiting. Magnificent Ursus? Yeah.
I got the 13 int and 10% magic attack on the Haku fan.
Yep.
Other than that, there's nothing on it, is it?
Was it 10% damage doesn't count, and that one is 10 stars, right? I don't know if it's...
Yeah, that one, yeah.
And it's not flamed, I don't think?
No, it's not flamed.
And the other one?
Is the one I'm currently wearing. It is flamed. 35 boss damage, 20 boss damage, and 10 magic attack.
Okay. Wait, so 55 boss, 10 magic attack?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you still have the Fafnir, that'll be... It's like a little bit waste of value, I guess, because there's no point in ever going back to the Fafnir, right? So you could have used the Fafnir to transfer hammer into the Abzo, and then the Abzo would immediately start at Epic with 12 stars, and then you would start from there. And that way you get some of the old value that you spent on the Fafnir one, Fafnir fan, you would get some of that back. Because we don't have trade, we're always kind of looking for how can we make sure that we make some of our money back. So if an item really lost all value and doesn't really have any nostalgic value for you, and now it's kind of just like picking up a slot in your inventory, then transferring, hammering that would have given you a little bit of a jump start there.
Yeah, I didn't know about that one back then, I guess.
Yeah, there's no problem. So you're working on getting everything Abzo now?
I don't know. I was about to ask you, what should I be working on in terms of equips?
Yeah, so we're gonna be working on the bosses and stuff. You have some Abzo. Oh wait, I see the other summoner down here. Never mind. I see it. You already had it, yeah. That one is 97, 8 boss. Yeah, so that one's hardcore for bossing. Well, the other thing is, so even if we go into Abzo, which we'll probably do, right? Because you're already partially going into Abzo. We don't want to go super hard, right? Because of the arcane dream looming over our heads. But mainly the thing is now that I advise people is to go hard on whichever items you can have the most backups for. So it's probably going to be CRA gear. That's the easy one that you can get a lot of pieces of. Low degree of risk of making high gains. And then after that, the accessories. And for you, since as a Kanna, the rings are very good for very long, what you can do is work on the other rings kind of on the side, which means that it's lower risk in the sense that if you fail, you're not really going to lose progress and lose damage from those, if anything booms or anything like that. But you are looking at venturing into the realm of booming because of the... oh, that was lag. Because of the event rings. Because the event rings are essentially for you, and especially the new big ones that are out now, are like equivalent to 17 or 18, or even better than 18-star rings because of the HP and MP calculation. And that's why I talked about the event store as well, because those big event rings are out there now. Those have 40 all stat, 25 magic attack, and 4,000 HP and MP. And you can get all three of them. So there's 3 separate rings that you could all be wearing at the same time that give you those stats.
Okay.
So that could be something that you work on now, and then you have crazy good rings basically for a long ass time, like equivalent of 18 stars. And that would make it so that you can just fully develop your attention towards, or direct your attention towards the droplets and towards trying to get the higher star on the CRA. And aside from that, you just work on getting backups, and you work on saving up money for once the Arcane comes into play, basically.
Okay, might be worth it to spend my stones on the event rings then.
Yeah, because the main options, I guess, for you, because notes aren't as important, so it's mainly going to be symbols and event rings, I think, right? The one thing is, though, I want to make sure that you don't make like 18 legendary rings or something, because sometimes people can get carried away with that. And again, in the back of your head, having like maintaining value and not going sideways and every single thing, because if you go and do every single thing that can make you a little bit stronger, in the end you'll be weaker, right? Because you will have spent so much money on every upgrade that if you saved all of that money and then went for one big upgrade instead, there's like a balance there, right? Because sometimes you can't go for the big upgrade because you can't kill anything because you saved up too much money, and then sometimes you can't afford the big upgrade because you are strong enough but you spend it all on such small upgrades that are more inefficient that you end up getting there way more slowly. So it's about finding that balance. So for the Abzo, that balance is probably going to be at getting the Absolab gear, get it to 17 stars, probably 2-line legendary, and then the flame score that's mentioned in the progression grid. That will be a fine spot to have Abzo gear on, and nothing more than that is really, really needed. And the main thing that's going to help you there is the set bonus, is going to give you a lot of damage compared to now. For CRA, you just want to make sure you get to the point where you can clear CRA comfortably, and then build up a lot of backups and a lot of a lot of backups that will help you not having to safeguard at all, and then you'll basically get a lot of value from the backups in the fact that you don't have to safeguard. That'll save you money because that's way cheaper. We have a Starforce calculator that you can use. It's mainly important if you're going to do big Starforcing projects, but you can look at it from time to time to make sure that you are if like, okay, I want to, by this day there's a Starforce event, I want to be able to use want to be able to get all of these items to X amount of stars. How much is that roughly going to cost? So you can have kind of an idea of, do I need to go harder on grinding this week so I can have enough money, or can I chill and focus on other stuff instead, kind of thing.
Okay.
The main thing is that 30% off events are very good to get everything to 15. And 5, 10, 15 events are very good at getting everything past 15, basically. There is a 5, 10, 15 pretty soon, but then a 30% off like after that. So the amount of money you save, just to throw, like if you're at Abzo, if you're going from 15 to... Wait, let me click this. It's going to change anyway. You start catch from 15 to 17 without an event. It's like 1.3 to 1.8, like median average, I would say like 1.6 to 1.7 probably is how much I would set aside for that per item bill. But if you do it during 5, 10, 15 instead, it's like 500.
Okay.
So that's huge difference, right? So, and in order to be able to capitalize on this, you need to prep your item first to get it from, from 0, I guess, to 15. To 10, sorry. No, to 15. I was right. I was right the first time. And if you do that off an event, I put the 0 there. See, that's cheaper, which seems weird, right? Because it's 1/3 of the stars, but of course the earlier stars are way cheaper and way higher success rate. So that's probably like 650 mil, something like that. But if you do that during 30% off instead, it's still like 100 plus mil cheaper. Plus, you're going to be doing this on like 14 equips. So if you can save 100 mil on 14 equips, then there's 1.5 bill that you just pulled out of your hat, right? And then you can save that.
It's going to take a while though, since I don't have any money right now. I just need to buy the heart, right?
Yeah. So the heart, is a good thing to get, but we want to make sure that you don't immediately like buy it now. Like you have 2 bill now?
Yeah, I have 2 bill right now.
Yeah. If you buy it now and then you have some money, you can upgrade it. You can get a little bit stronger now. But the question is, will that be the best upgrade for you at this moment? So I think the 5, 10, 15 that's up and coming is just going to be... You're just going to have to skip that. It doesn't really make much sense to go for that. Because, yeah, you're in no position. If you have a bunch of stuff that's already 15, or you had this set up, but you had like 40 bill lying around, and you wanted to like push everything to 17, then sure, that's fine. But the main thing is when you start calculating in safeguarding, it just gets very, very expensive. So... that's the other thing, right, with the events. So I have the event calendar. Always check this one whenever we have a big update like we do now. And you can see all of the events that are ongoing and when the next ones are starting, etc., etc. And you'll be able to see... oh, actually, let me hide this row. And hide these columns. There we go. That is a lot cleaner already. And then I have to unsqueeze these because that just looks weird. There we go. And what is also on here is the Sunny Sundays. So you can always find them in the patch notes, of course. But this is like a good thing to kind of... that's why I said like calculating beforehand. You could probably put this on to the... on like your personal calendar or something that you have, to make sure that you don't miss out on big opportunities, and that you kind of have in the back of your head, like, this is how much money I need by then. Because you can buy that heart all the way until the end of the shop, which is like August 29th. That's when you can still buy the heart. Or probably I would buy it on the 28th, because the last event, the shops were broken on the last day, and a lot of people who waited until the very last day weren't able to buy anything. And so if you don't want to fall into that pit of despair, it's probably a good idea to do at least the second to last day. But you have until almost the end of August, right, to make that kind of money. So that's 2.5 months almost. So you can use that money in the meantime to make other upgrades and to work on other stuff instead that gets you stronger and then makes you the money back even faster. So that's kind of the idea. So the main thing that's going to help you is going to be the Star Force event. So the 5, 10, 15 is in June 20th. That's in like a week and a half. That's way too soon for you. Or I guess... no, wait, that's in 4 days. I mean, yeah, that's way too soon. So we're going to be... oh, no, wait, that's here. Sorry. In June 27th. Yeah. So that's in 11 days. So that's too soon. But there's a 30% off on July 11th. So that's a little bit less than a month. And that should allow you to get enough money and to do a lot of Star Forcing to get everything to 15. And then you won't. The bad thing about getting to 15 is that you won't really feel a lot stronger because the stat increase isn't that much. But if everything's at 15, then you're in like a prime situation to wait for a 5 to 15 and then bump it from 15 to 17 very cheaply, and then get a huge gain then. But it's good to lay that groundwork during a 30% off. So that's July 11th. That's going to be an important day to work on star forcing.
I'll have some time to do Ursa's Maple Tour and all that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So as long as you have at least 2 bill, and then maybe a bit more, right, to buy some extra droplets, maybe. But the meso droplets, I would say, are probably the lower priority, right? Because if there are so many coming in winter, and you have to wait until winter any way to make the full set, typically you don't switch over until you have the full set when it comes to the arcane stuff. Sometimes people switch the weapon, and then switch their hat for the Abzo weapon to keep the set effect, the 5 set effect for Abzo, but lose the weapon, because the base stats of the weapon are just so much higher. I think the base arcane fan is something like 347 magic attack or something. Which is kind of ridiculous, right?
That's pretty crazy, yeah.
Yeah, 347 base. And because it's 347 base, that makes the flames also, and it's level 200. So like a tier 6 flame is 167 extra magic attack. So just a tier 6 flame on a base arcane flame without any Star Force is 514 magic attack. So if you can afford the weapon earlier, that's a really big buff. And then yeah, you just switch the hats around, and then that's that. And then when you get the full arcane stuff and you switch out the Abzo with that, then you just switch back the hat with the CRA hat.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, so that's basically the star forcing part. Yeah, you already have the drops from before. So the Gollux changed a lot. To give you the quick rundown, basically, what was Helix before is a little bit easier than what Hardlux is now, and what Helix is now is like, I think 11 times the HP of old Helix, and just the mechanics are way more annoying. I don't know if you tried Helix, but if you would walk in now and expect to see old Helix, you just get absolutely dunked on.
Yeah, that happened to me yesterday,
yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah, the hitbox of the hand, and then the breath hitting all the way until the corner. And I think there are some ways, and some Kannas might be able to help you with that. I think there are some ways for Kanna to actually have a really easy time as long as you have enough Foxfire stacks. I think if you stand on the right side, I think the hand attack doesn't kill you or something. But some people stand on the right side, and I'm pretty close to the middle. Not 100% sure how it works, but they're able to, and you put some summon on the bottom, of course, right? That kills the potatoes. Some simple way that even if you're not super duper strong, you can still clear it reliably without dying out. And then, but then
I have the belt, the rings, and all that. Is it still worth it for me to do it?
Yeah, so you still have the pieces. The thing is now, what they removed is that the pendants no longer drop from the boss, but instead the earrings drop. And because of that, if you're like min-maxing endgame, eventually you have to, or you don't have to, but eventually what people do is they switch out of one of the pendants and trade it out for a stronger pendant, because the set bonus is just the 4 pieces anyway, right? So that 4th pendant is just relying on and the base stats aren't crazy either. You're just relying on how much Star Force, and because they don't drop anymore, it's very hard to get a very high Star Force one. So what people do is they get the Dominator pendant instead, get a very good flame score on it, and then transpose it in Commercy into the Sweetwater pendant. And then that one's level 160, so it has higher base stats, higher potential, etc., etc. That's probably something that you want to worry about once all of your stuff is 17 star, to kind of put it into perspective.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is it still worth it for me to do Commercy PQ as well?
Yeah, so if you're going for higher Star Force on the tattoo, on the monocle, and then on the pendant later, you will need money for backups in a similar way that you need backups for CRA. The more dineros you have as a backup, the less you have to safeguard and the more money you save on there. So it's basically like an indirect way of making money.
Okay.
Because yeah, if you don't have backups, you have to safeguard everything, right? And safeguarding versus non-safeguarding is way more expensive.
Yeah, so it's just about the accessories anyhow.
Yeah, just the accessories. Yeah, the drops and everything, like the glove, you know, the old Sweetwater glove, like all of that is just if people like the looks, they can switch it out. But in general, it's not even that important. How well is your Tyrant stuff upgraded? Oh, it is no Star Force. Okay.
Not at all.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say if it was like 5 or 6 stars or something, you could also just stop an Abzo at this point, just work on what you have now, and just start saving hardcore for Arcane instead. Yeah, but since it's no Star Force, it might be initially a little bit of a downgrade, but once you get up to 17 stars, it'll be an upgrade, and the set bonus will carry it over.
I guess I'll just try for Abso first.
Yep.
So which pieces should I be swapping out? Abso?
Well, the shoe and the cape, right?
Shoe and cape. All right.
Yeah, they'll get you the 5 set bonus. That's another 30% boss in there. And I don't know if you already have it, but there's like a 10% IED line in there as well somewhere. This might be the 3 set or the 4 set. I'm not 100% sure.
I think I have that one. Ah, that's a 4 set. No, I don't have it yet.
Yeah, 4 set. So that's also why that's pretty nice, specifically for Kanna. Yeah, so then we're looking at everything at 15, basically everything that we want to send there. So your current setup, is it like a combination of damage and drop and meso, kind of? Everything together?
It's just I didn't get the lines I wanted. I got mesos instead.
Oh, yeah. But do you have like a designated drop and meso set, or is it just...
No, I don't.
You just picked whatever was okay. Yeah. So if you equip all of those things, like how much drop and meso are you on?
Good question. Where do I check that?
Force doesn't have... Well, you have to look at your equip window, and then just hover over all of your accessories. So the rings, the pendants, the eye in the face, and the earring. All of those are the accessories that can get meso and drop. So if you check those, then you've got everything covered. So I think.
Right. Let's see.
The earring has meso, I see.
Yeah, so that's.
They are adding it in the stat window, that you can actually just open up the stat window and see how much you have. Thank God, but that's like in KMS Taspia now, so that's probably like another 5 months or maybe even 6 months for us until we get that. So.
Oh Jesus.
You know, slow progress.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much. I think back then, before I quit, I was waiting to start using cubes. Since I actually didn't get like any int lines or damage lines.
2 with 2 meso, 2 drop, 3 meso, 3 drop. We've got a double pendant. That's really nice. 3 meso, 3 drop, 4 meso, 3 drop. 5 meso and 3 drop. Okay. And because you have the current reinforced ring. Oh no, wait. What are the 4 rings you use? 1, 2. Oh, you don't. There's one pendant that you have that doesn't have any drop or meso, right?
Yeah.
That's the one you're missing. Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to your drop rate set, that would be the only thing extra. Would be to get like a pendant with drop rate.
Oh, should I actually be going for drop rate?
Well, the thing with drop rate is you need enough baseline drop rate to be able to make sure that every single monster you kill always drops a bag, right? To just increase your meso obtain. Once you're at that point, stacking more drop rate is still good. Not because of the money, but because of, well, there's items that can drop that you can NPC for value, and more drops from bosses. And of course, there's also, boss drops and nodes and droplets and all of those things, right? That still increase as your drop rate increases.
Oh yeah, true.
So the 5 meso is really good, but then once you have those unlocked, you just go full drop rate wherever you can. But yeah, that's essentially in your current situation, just one more pendant with drop rate. It'd probably be nice if that's like a Dominator pendant. I don't know if you're doing normal arc every day. That's a good daily to have in your rotation.
The arc? No, I don't have it, but I might as well do it.
Yeah, because there's a small chance for the big potions, the wealth and experience accumulation potions, which stack with everything, make you make more money and more experience. They can drop primals, which can help you make Meister rings much later on. And they can also drop the Dominator pendants, which will be nice to transpose into the Sweetwater pendant, and will also be nice to use as a temporary drop one, or because of the you can have some set effects, except for you, I guess right now in your current it won't have any set effects. But the other thing is also you want to have a bunch of those so that you can Star Force those without having to safeguard. And then if you get a high number, you can transfer hammer them into the superior, because it's 140 into 150. So that way you can get a high Star Force superior without having to spend the coins, the Gollux coins. Because you can buy backups now, but they're 700 coins each. Yeah, which is, and you can buy one per week, so it's pretty steep.
Okay, might not be worth it.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you get to doing Helix and you do Helix a lot, then it can be more and more worth it. But most of the time for those things, you just aim for, eventually the 17 and all those things. And then you aim specifically for the Gollux stuff. You aim for level 140 stuff to really high Star Force to transfer over, so you can divert all the risk away from blowing up Gollux, because it just takes forever to replace. And then once it's transfer hammered over, you just recube it to higher tier potential.
Alright, damn, it's a lot to do, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's like if you're going past 17, right? If you're going for like 20 or 21. So we're talking like at least 6 months from now, probably more. So, but that's like the long-term step. So it does mean if you find some 150 gear, you can start saving that, like extra reinforced earrings, extra Dominator pendants, right? Those are the 140 gear that you wanna save up. For belts, you can start saving up quite late, because the pink bean belts transfer over, so you can start building those up quite late. You don't have to fill up your entire inventory with that. And for the rings, it would be either the Meister rings or the Kanna treasure rings, because they're a drop now from Princess Snow. Or technically reinforced rings, but nobody would do that. That's not a good idea, because those don't drop and those are very expensive. So, but it'd probably be Kanna treasure rings or. And that's another reason why we want that drop rate, right? If you can go full drop rate and get more Kanna rings from Princess Snow, that means you don't need the primals as much. You're not time gated on normal arc clears. That means you can get a high Star Force Kanna treasure ring, equip on yourself, make another one, transfer it into the superior, and then you never have to redo the superiors. That's kind of how you want to look at those items as value. But we'll probably use those event rings for quite a while, because those are super strong for Kanna.
Okay.
So, the necessity to push up your rings is quite far removed because of the event rings. So the higher priority is going to be on getting your CRA stuff past 17.
Okay, so in short, just stuff forcing the CRA stuff, getting my APSO first, those are going to be the biggest upgrades, right?
Yeah, so saving up for July 11th to get everything to 15, basically. Everything that can go past 15, you want to get to 15 then.
Okay.
So that's like a main goal. The other one is try to get a second pendant and get drop rate on there, so that your drop rate set is rounded out. And then the other thing is with the IED, right? With the familiars, it might be necessary to get one line of IED somewhere. I'm looking at your weapon. Your emblem is 12 damage with 18 magic attack. Yeah, that's a bit tricky. That's a bit tricky. But yeah, if you look at the sources of IED, there they are. But you want to be able to reach the number in the progression grid, right? The functional number. So you're probably looking at low 90s, 92, 93, something functional. And you're currently at 75 visual, and kind of has almost no extra functional IED, so you're probably at about 75 or 76 functional IED. So that means you're missing quite some. I would say that since your weapon is so specifically boss damagey right now, it has 2 lines of it, and one line is only a 20% line, which is kind of a thorn in your side probably, because it's barely over half of the other line, right? Over the 35. And it could technically be a 40% line. Those exist too. I think your weapon probably has, yeah, even though it's 55% boss, it's really nice with how your emblem is. It's tricky which one would be like better to reroll. Because yeah, even though the 12% damage isn't crazy good, it's still something that ends up increasing your damage. Yeah, that's a rough one. But you want to get one line of IED. Like, if you could choose anywhere, you'd want to have the line of IED on your emblem. But your weapon has more outs because it has combinations of magic attack and boss and IED. And your emblem cannot roll boss damage, so there's more chance for a good roll on the weapon. So it's, you know, there gonna be some calculator work. But I would roll one line of IED on one of those two. You will need it, even if you have the Golix set, you will just need it until your Legion is completely built out. And probably eventually you'll still need it. Even when you have the Familiars and when you have your Legion more built out.
So I guess probably gonna cube my weapon.
Yeah, kind of sucks. But right now, if you're mobbing, you're also like the 55% boss damage does nothing, right, when you're mobbing? And you still need to level a whole bunch, so it's kind of holding you back in that regard as well. So I probably do the weapon, yeah. But yeah, make sure that you have enough money on the side for the star forcing and everything. But like getting at least one line of IED on the weapon, like a line of IED plus a line of magic attack, or any combination of boss, magic, and IED that includes a line of IED would be great. Hopefully you don't roll IED and 2 lines of boss, because then you do even less damage to normal monsters.
Oh,
but
I'll try.
Yeah, but it's possible. Then you just have to roll 3 lines of magic attack on your emblem. It's only like 35 bill, I think, so should be easy. Just kidding.
Bill?
Yeah. Like average cost is, I think, just over 30 bill on discount queue, so that's something nice if it happens, but you don't really aim for that until all the other stuff is like all done. I think you would aim for like 20 star everything with 2.5 to 3 lines stat before you start min-maxing your weapon, secondary, and emblem for 3 usable lines. Just how expensive it is.
Okay. Oh, that's gonna be a lot of mesos.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah. So for so that's like star forcing and cubing wise, and then the only thing we have to look at is flaming wise, right?
Yeah.
So flaming wise, I'd probably prioritize your secondary weapon because it doesn't have a flame at all, right?
Actually, no. It does have a flame, but it doesn't count.
Oh wait, how much this Abso? Oh, how much is it? Just the green part. How much is?
There's no green part on it except if I unequip it.
Yeah, unequip it. Yeah, so you can see the numbers. So
73 magic attack. 73.
Oh, okay. So that's a tier 5. Okay, that's not too bad then. All right. Because there's only a percentage, right, that goes into your magic attack anyway. So even if you get a higher tier there, that would only result in like 3 magic attack increase or something. So it's not anything major. Yeah, let's see. Glove. Well, basically, for when it comes to the flames, like I can look at all the items specifically, but if you look at the flame score video, and then if you look at the grid to see like what are the numbers I'm aiming for, you'll be able to see which items need to be flamed first, because you can see what is the flame score I want to be aiming for now, and what is my current flame score, and basically that difference is going to be your current potential of your item for flaming. And whichever just has the highest potential for increasing and for getting a better flame, that's what you flame first. It's pretty much always just going to be the highest level gear with flame advantage that are on top of the list, and then the gear that's slightly lower level, and then it's going to be the highest level gear that doesn't have flame advantage, and then trickling into the lower level. That's just like the general priority. So if I see now, like, I mean, Superior Golix Earring doesn't have any flame, so there's a decent chance that a flame will give an improvement, but it doesn't have flame advantage. So you'll put like a pin in it and look at the other items first to see if there's anything else that has flame advantage that has a lot of room to improve on. But that's basically how you look at every single item. And if you use the calculator, you can also click save, so you can calculate whatever flame score you have, and then save an item. And then you can compare them like this with each other, and you can see which item is... you'll probably see 1 or 2 items that are like, oh, these are way lower than the other ones. And if it's pretty low, then it's also pretty safe to just throw flames on it, because even if you get a shitty flame back, it doesn't really hurt your actual kill speed. Your range will go down a little bit, but that's just that. And then as soon as an item gets better than another item, it just, you know, becomes lower priority, and the other item becomes higher priority to upgrade. Iron Flame doesn't have... And in the beginning, you might be Yeah, the HP and MP might give you a lot of range in the beginning, so those will be kind of... If you get large chunks of those, that'll help you make sure that the equip isn't horrible, but eventually you don't, you know, settle on that forever. Eventually you want to roll out of the HP, because, again, remember the base stats that you're rolling towards, you're going to be rolling into different percentage MP and different percentage HP as well. You're going to roll out of that into percentage intellect instead for more damage, and that's going to make those flames with a lot of HP and MP proportionately less good as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's any huge... Yeah, it's probably your CRA stuff, flame-wise. And then probably all the Gallic stuff after that. And then you can kind of... Yeah, but I would just use the flames you get from weekly bosses, right? I wouldn't go out of my way to buy anything, especially now, just save money. You might use some or get some with the event currency if you feel like it. But, well, we already talked about what the other priorities are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now it's your job to just do a little bit of everything and just find your balance. If you feel like something is too much of a chore and just not fun at all, just drop it and do a little bit more of something else. Try to keep it enjoyable. If there's a daily that you know you kind of have to do, but you always leave it to the last moment, either try to find someone to do it with you, or just do it first thing so you can get it out of the way and have fun the rest of the day. Something like that.
Yeah, dailies are... it's quite fast. It's not that much work.
Mm-hmm.
It's more the weekly bosses content I'm worried about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of practice. The startup for that is going to be a lot of time invested. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But, you know, once you get the hang of it, it's going to be really fast. You might even do like a half-hour Legion coin or something and just get all of the main bosses done within the half hour. And then with the Legion drop coupon, you might be able to just get more drops, right? More soul shards, more cubes, more flames. That'll help you upgrade more.
Oh, actually, I don't even have any soul shards on right now.
Yeah, there's an event soon, but yeah, that's one of the dailies. That's quite a long-term thing, quite a min-maxy thing for soul shards. Kannas do like getting lucid shards, so you can do the lucid summon. Normal lucid summon's very good because it's a stationary boss that you can put somewhere, so it's like another summon that you can rely on to kill a platform while you're somewhere else. That makes more maps, and specifically bigger maps, more viable, which means you just have more maps to pick from as a Kanna, so that's a good problem to have.
Gotta be able to do lucid first.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of easy lucid parties going on now because of the Neo cores. So definitely stay in chat and definitely keep your ear to the ground to see if you see some of those. Because the more experience you get with easy lucid and the more cores you get from that, the more chances for shards and the easier it'll be to do normal. Because once you know the mechanics of easy, then normal is just, everything is just a little bit harder. She just has more HP and the things just do more damage. But once you get used to dodging things and once you get used to the mechanics of the boss, you'll be able to move into normal lucid very quickly then.
Yeah.
Okay, with all of that in mind, is there still something that you feel we need to go over? Something might have neglected?
I don't think so. I think you've taken a lot of extra time to
yeah, I think I did too.
to get to everything, yeah. Thanks, by the way, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. But yeah, I think we went through it in order of importance quite well, I think. Yeah. Usually, like, how you upgrade the equips is just a culmination of knowing all of the other information, and then once you have all the other information, it kind of just, it makes way more sense, right? Which equips first and how far you go. Yeah,
I had one question actually.
Yeah, go for it.
When I'm like leveling, right? Like mobbing. Your guide says like go to lower cavern path thingy, but I cannot one-hit things there. Should I still stay there or go to something easier?
So yeah, they'll depend on your damage output, all of that, boost nodes, arcane power, etc. Right? There's a lot of those factors in there. If there's a bunch of maps that are good around your level, one-shotting, yeah, I mean, like, when you say one-shotting, you mean killing all or most of the monsters in the map before they respawn, right?
Yeah.
It's possible that a lower, quote-unquote, worse map is better for you, maybe because it's less populated and has higher level burn, which gives you more experience, or just because you kill them just a bit faster and you kill more of them, which you know, overcompensates for the fact that you can't kill the stronger level monsters as well. So if you're ever worried that you might be getting bad rates, you can always do battle analysis. Have you worked with that before?
Oh yeah. Oh, that exists. I forgot.
Yeah, so I would do tests of like at least 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes in a map, and just kind of see what your rates are, and do like a regular rotation, and keep in mind whether you get an elite boss or not, because like on a 20 to 30 minute test that can make quite a big difference. And then you can check how much experience you got during that, and also how much mezzo you got, right? And do that on a few maps that you're doubting between, like, I don't know which one is better, and then just try all of them. And then if the results are very close, I would just pick the map that's most fun for you to do, either long-term or short-term, or the one that you have, you know, most access to. You know, if it's like peak hour, you go to a map that's not as crowded. If it's not peak hour and you pick whatever you want, you just pick one that's easy to train for you. Maybe one that's more mind-numbingly boring. Maybe that's easier for you to do long-term, or maybe one that's more exciting, that's more engaging, depending on what kind of playstyle you feel like. If there's vast differences in the gains, then you'll just have to make up that decision for yourself. Like, am I willing to go to a map that's way harder to train on and way harder to find, but I get like 20% more money? Is that worth it to me? And again, like sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't be. You're like, fuck it, I just want a map and get my grind in, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so use a battle analysis tool for that. Or ask other Kannas, right? See where other Kannas are going. That might also give you some insight.
I gotta start making friends, man.
Yeah. Hopefully through the guild, through Discord. Maybe if you join the Maple Central Discord. I don't have a link anymore because I kind of had a falling out with those people. But there's a lot of people in there as well. Some not so helpful, some pretty helpful. There's also like class-specific rooms in there where people talk about, you know, things like what maps do you train on, what boost nodes do you use, how strong do you need to be for certain things, etc., etc. So more detailed, specifically catered to Kanna.
Yeah, I guess it'll come with time, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would just talk to random Kannas you find and be like, yo, how strong were you where you did Lotus for the first time or something? Usually people are willing to share and be like, oh, I had this much stat, I had these level boost notes, something like that. But now you know which numbers to ask for, right? Not like, what was your range?
Yeah,
because then they give you a number and then that doesn't help you at all. Now you know, like, oh, did you have all your boost nodes maxed, etc., etc.
I used to think it was all about range, but I guess I was wrong.
In the beginning, it was like a long time ago, right? Like in 2008 and 2010, like before Big Bang, it really was. But like 3 years ago already, it really started to shift away from that. Not only between classes, but also within classes as well. But like between classes, if you had a lot of final damage, we had what people would call inflated range or deflated range, right? If you had a lot of, and that already alluded to the fact that range was a bad indicator, especially between classes. But then within the same class, since there's so much stuff that gives you final damage that then is invisible, basically final damage is the main culprit there. Because sometimes you can't see it if you have it, and sometimes you see it and then other people can't, and then you're comparing apples and oranges at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, oh wait, the weekly reset is today, right?
Yeah, Wednesday into Thursday. I also have a command for that, ! Resets. Kind of makes a list of all of the things that reset. I should probably update that with the weekly quest and stuff. To make sure that you don't miss out on anything when it's the last day, when it's the first day, like that. I'll probably update this in a little bit.
Alright. So, I think I have one last cheeky question.
Mm-hmm.
You happen to have any, how to say, mules that still need to do bosses?
For this week, no, I did so many already. I think I did my weeklies on 6 characters, and I did some extra as well. And since this week, I started doing extra harder bosses on my main as well. So I'm all bossed out for for at least one day, and then tomorrow the whole show starts all over again. But if anyone in chat is looking for some boss parties to get some last minute Neo cores, make sure you speak out. Check the Discord, see if there is extra people there looking out. If you guys can use my platform, use my chat to be able to find each other. That is that's part of the dream. So, which ones would you be looking for? Like CRA practice?
Yeah, the CRA ones.
HMAG. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I'm not sure if I'm capable of Lotus and all that. Damien.
Yeah, if you do your supporting, if you fill your supporting role well, you probably need to be like in voice comms and stuff to make sure that you guys talk through the mechanics. Then you will be able to contribute. Like just domain, like domain isn't maxed yet, but like you have long binds, you have the domain, you have the barriers, you have the all of that combined makes you a valuable team member for sure.
Guess I'll try reaching out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, best of luck. And remember, if you're looking for party in the chat, I'll do my best to shout it out. If I don't see you, you can put my name in the message or at me, then it lights up as well, so it's easier for me to see.
Yeah.
And
Alright, so
I do my best to do that.
Alright, so can you give me a quick shout out?
Quick shout out.
Quick shout out.
Chaos Rootabyss, and basically all of the dailies, the weeklies starting. You did Kazak. So basically these bosses, right? Yeah. CRA, Vellum, Akechi maybe, Chaos Papulatus, Hard Magnus. If anyone wants to do those bosses together with what was it, #1 Red Jam?
Yeah, Unsalted Salt in game.
Yeah. And in the guild. Make sure you hit them up and form up parties, Voltron up, and destroy these bosses. Get your Neo cores so you can buy your droplets from the store at the end of the event. There you go.
Thanks, brother.
No problem, dude. All right. Well, best of luck with everything. And I'll upload it to YouTube so you can make sure you didn't forget anything, or watch it back in like a month or so, see how much progress you already made for yourself. And well, the main thing is once you get those bosses done, the more upgrades you make, you'll just notice that the bosses get faster and faster and faster. So that'll be a good sense of your progression as well. It's just good for your morals, for your morale.
I think that's the biggest issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta find some ways to get feedback that you're actually getting stronger.
No, I think I got a good start on, or a good idea on where to go, what to do.
Okay. Well then, I wish you best of luck.
Thanks, man. Keep in touch.
Yes, will do. All right, I'll see you around.
All right, ciao, ciao.
Yep, bye. All right, another long one. Long man. That's what you get when you come back after 3 years of not playing, okay? But this is basically a full progression session that if you have a friend that came back after a long time, okay, and they're like, hey, what should I do? Just link in this video, all right? Don't waste hours of your time trying to figure all this stuff out. Just chat with him in Discord. Keep him as a friend, and just make him watch this video instead, okay? As always, if you guys want to apply to the guild in NA or EU for Reboot, or you have numbers for me in the form of battle analysis, monster skill per hour, or training videos at the higher level areas, or you want one of these sessions for yourself as well, check the description of the video and you will find all the links and information right there. Thanks for watching. If you watch all of it, you're a trooper, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Peace!